Warning, the following podcast contains adult language, themes, and situations. Also, the film we're about to talk about is going to be spoiled thoroughly. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
In Hollywood, you'd better believe if you make $350 million on a vaguely original idea, you're getting a sequel. So it's no shock that Disney brought back the team from 2004's National Treasure in 2007 for another history-inspired treasure-hunting adventure. Unfortunately, as is often the case with sequels, the follow-up basically copy and pasted the script from the first movie, changed a few locations, slapped on a new coat of paint, and called it good, since who wants to mess with a great formula? And it absolutely worked, leading to the highest grossing film of Nicolas Cage's career at that point. So join us as we break down the cookie-cutter sequel to National Treasure, National Treasure: Book of Secrets.
Okay, let's run.
I'm like a prickly pear.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole. Porker, how'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beat until you
Pissed blood!
Welcome to One Cage at a Time, the show where we break down every single Nicolas Cage movie, one film at a time. Here are your hosts, Patrick, Vince, and Nigel.
Benjamin Franklin Gates, Riley Poole, and Abigail Chase must clear the Gates family name after a mysterious man shows up with a 140-year-old page to a diary that seems to confirm the Gates family were co-conspirators in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. But since this is National Treasure film, the quest to find out the truth reveals clues that lead to a hidden treasure, the likes of which the world has never seen. Except for that one treasure these same people discovered, 3 years prior.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your stars.
National Treasure: Book of Secrets stars Angelina Jolie's estranged dad, the Academy Award-winning actor who, as of late, has become a certified nut job, Jon Voight. Winner of both the British and American Triple Crown of acting with an EGOT in her sights, Dame Helen Mirren. A man who is incapable of delivering a bad performance, Harvey Keitel. That guy who is only known for being a MacGuffin in the Hangover movies and for playing Riley Poole, Justin Bartha. Bridget von Hammersmark herself from Inglourious Basterds, German-American actress Diane Kruger, and of course, the real National Treasure, Academy Award-winning actor and greatest treasure hunter of all time, Nicolas Kim Coppola, better known as Nicolas Cage.
It's time to go over some of the finer details.
National Treasure: Book of Secrets was released on December 21st, 2007, had a budget of $130 million, but made $459.2 million, which is a full, I think like $112 million more than National Treasure made. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, if I remember right, the budget for National Treasure wasn't like crazy much lower than this. I think it was like 105 or 100. I don't remember for sure, but it wasn't like they just dumped tons of money into the sequel compared to the first one. But that's still $130 million. Like if this thing would have bombed, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Disney, so it would.
Yeah, it's Disney.
Could have put a slump into Nicolas Cage's career for 10 years. It didn't happen for another couple of years.
No, that's 2012.
Yeah.
Stolen and Spirit of Vengeance back to back. That's what put a slump into his career. As we discussed in the first movie, I'm not going to go over in quite as much detail this movie because almost all the same people came back for this one. But directed by John Turteltaub, who we discussed last time was the director of Three Ninjas, Cool Runnings, Phenomenon, that John Travolta Lawnmower Man telekinesis brain tumor movie. I don't think that's how brain tumors work. Like, you don't get a brain tumor and suddenly be able to move shit with your mind, but whatever.
He was touched by the divine.
National Treasure 1 and 2, of course. And also did Sorcerer's Apprentice, which so we will be talking about Turteltaub again. Also Last Vegas, which I forget who it was, like Morgan Freeman, a bunch of old men going and partying in Vegas. And The Meg, newer movie with Statham and Rainn Wilson.
That's all right.
Yeah, I heard it was okay. I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just expect a stupid movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the premise. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
obviously. Written by the Wibberleys, who I butchered last time. We did National Treasure. Cormac and Marianne Wibberley, writing team, husband-wife writing team. They have written National Treasure 1 and 2, obviously. And they also came back for Edge of Tomorrow, the ill-received Disney Plus series. People didn't really seem to like
Edge of History.
Huh?
Not Edge of Tomorrow. That's a different movie.
Oh.
Edge of History.
That's like Tom Cruise thing,
That's
right?
a Cruise.
Edge of History.
Yeah.
Okay. Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, that movie had a good script.
Yeah, that did. I still haven't watched the Disney Plus series, and I will not go out of my way to watch it unless we do National Treasure 3, because I feel like there's going to be a tie-in of some sort. So I will watch it. We're not doing it on the show because Cage never shows up. And that was one of the big complaints is like, why'd you do this if it's like doing an Indiana Jones series and Indiana Jones doesn't show up,
Right.
It's kind of weird.
They're like, well, we got Riley Poole.
Hey, great. You got the worst character out of the whole fucking
You really
franchise.
wanted to see an 80-year-old FBI agent, right?
I mean, the fact that Harvey Keitel showed up was kind of, like, that's crazy that he showed up. But, he's older. Probably just, it's like, oh, easy paycheck, sure.
Yeah.
They also wrote Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, which is the sequel. That was the one without Crispin Glover, I forget.
That was almost Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf is in that? I never saw the second one.
I'm pretty sure he's in it. I think he's on a dirt bike doing some tricks. I can't remember. That movie's awful. Don't watch it.
They also did The Shaggy Dog for Disney and G-Force. So we'll be talking about the Wibberleys again. Shot by Amir Mukri, which we previously talked about on Lord of War. He also shot Coyote Ugly, Fast and Furious. Not sure what. I think that's like
that's the
Fast
fourth
and
one.
Furious 4.
Yeah, that's when the whole team came back. I swear we had this exact same conversation.
Okay. All right. Also shot Transformers 18 and 19, I think. I don't know which. Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction. I don't know.
Is that the new one?
Third one and
Extinction?
the fourth one or fifth one?
The 18th and 19th, dude. I wrote it right here. But quick fact, director of photography Amir Mokri was replaced by John Schwartzman several weeks into shooting. This was reportedly due to creative differences between Mokri and producer and director John Turteltaub. So we have two different DPs on this film, which I kind of wonder how much of each bit was shot by each one. It doesn't feel that different, though. I feel like the cinematography is pretty similar throughout. I would say the cinematography is not quite as good as the first movie. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Mokri is kind of a go-to for Andrew Niccol. He's used him a few times.
Oh, really?
Maybe he'll do the Lord of War sequel. By the way, quick fact: there's a Lord of War sequel coming. Apparently, it's at least like greenlit, but we'll see if it ever gets made. But
I don't know, man. They're talking pretty tough about it. I think
they are.
Thankfully.
Hopefully, yeah. I've always loved that movie, and I've always I would love to go back into that world, but at the same time, it's like, do we really need a Lord of War sequel?
Yeah, we do. Hey, we need to keep doing this podcast till we make money.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. John Schwartzman, of course, is Talia Shire's stepson, and the half-brother to Jason Schwartzman, the Wes Anderson guy, who also has a band. I don't know if you've listened to that band. I actually really love that his band. If you ever get a chance, it's kind of weird to hear Jason Schwartzman singing. You're like, okay. And of course, he is Nicolas Cage's cousin by marriage. So he's not technically like related to him by blood, but yeah. He also shot, as we talked previously on, I think, Wild at Heart. He shot Armageddon. He did Seabiscuit, which he got an Oscar nomination for. The Founder, that McDonald's movie. Jurassic World 1 and 3 are the two best ones out of that awesome trilogy. The Amazing Spider-Man, The Rock, as we also talked about on The Rock, and of course Industrial Symphony, number 1. The Dream of the Brokenhearted. Got to say the whole thing. Edited by William Goldenberg, who has edited National Treasure, obviously, the first movie. Did Heat, one of my all-time favorite Michael Mann films. Ali, Seabiscuit, so I guess he works with John Schwartzman a lot. Gone Baby Gone, that Casey and Ben Affleck movie. Argo, which he won an Oscar for editing. Followed up his Oscar with Zero Dark 30, which he also got an Oscar nomination for.
Jeez.
And followed those two an Oscar win and an Oscar nomination with Transformers Age of Extinction.
Can't win them all.
Sometimes you just need work.
Yeah, it's true. just like 300 cuts per minute, okay? Just that's the criteria for this, okay? But then he followed up. Then he followed up that wonderful film with The Imitation Game, which also got him an Oscar nomination. So 3 Oscar nominations out of 4 films, which is kind of crazy. Co-edited by David Rennie, who is responsible for 3 of my all-time favorite comfort films of all time. Office Space, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, Idiocracy, and he also did The New Guy. Remember that guy who never gains weight or ages.
Yeah.
The New Guy. You know him. And, of course, music by our old pal, Trevor Rabin. In case you needed a reminder, we've talked about him 14 times, I feel like, already. But he kind of invented the Michael Bay style of scores. Was the guitarist of Yes, who wrote Owner of a Lonely Heart on a Toilet. And, of course, he came back and scored the Disney Plus series as well. So he's done all the music for all of the films and the TV series, and hopefully would come back if they do National Treasure 3, which who the fuck knows if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
It is Bruckheimer really wants to do it, but it just seems like it's having a hell of a time getting out of developmental hell.
I bet if that series did well, they would have greenlit it a lot faster.
I think so too. But at the same time, I think the major complaint with the series was that Cage wasn't in it, and I think people are wanting more National
they want
Treasure
Cage,
with Nicolas Cage.
You know how the bean counters are. They're like, I don't know. Is he good? Is he good for us?
I mean, he's
Yeah,
on
they're
a,
like, nobody watched these movies for Nicolas Cage.
yeah.
They
He's
wanted
on
Riley Poole.
a big trajectory back up, but at the same time, like Renfield did not do well.
No.
It felt like it should have done well, but it had like a $65 million budget, and I think made like 25.
Yeah,
which is
but
not good.
To be fair, a lot of films like that just aren't performing in the theater.
That's true. But
And
still, you spend
I'm
65
hoping-
million on something and it makes 25 million.
Yeah.
The people who are going to greenlight National Treasure are going to look at that and be like, ugh, I don't
But
think
I would
so.
hope they would look at the 2 previous National Treasure films and be like, well, these are just cash cows. And if you bring back the original cast and they'd be fine. But it's like kids movies, superhero movies. That's it, dude. Everything else is just not making money. I don't think John Wick did that well. And that's a huge franchise too, compared to what pre-pandemic numbers were.
I personally think that a National Treasure 3 right now would make 700-800 million.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it would, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that the Unbearable Weight was going to make back its budget, but it didn't. I thought Renfield was going to at least make back its budget, and it didn't. So
I bet on the back end, the VOD stuff,
I'm sure
they'll make a ton of money. But I was actually, because I went and saw Renfield in theater, and the theater was actually pretty packed, and I'm in a fucking tiny ass area of Washington.
Yeah, well,
I was kind of surprised, but yeah, bigger theaters, bigger cities, probably not as many people going.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Trevor Rabin has weirdly kind of slowed down since 2011. He is getting older. He's only done a handful of things, like 3 movie scores and a couple TV shows, but he came sort of semi out of obscurity again and did the new National Treasure series. So obviously he likes doing these.
Mm-hmm.
cannot remember a single piece of music from this movie.
You don't remember?
It's so cookie cutter. I remember like the theme of the first movie, and I don't know if that was in there. I'm sure it was. I don't know. I've already forgotten this whole movie.
Well, thankfully, we're about to break it down for you, Patrick.
Yep. Ratings, this got a 36%. 4.8 out of 10 on 130 reviews. Just for quick reference, the first movie only got a 46%. So, yeah. Audience score was a 67%, whereas the original has a 76. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just like one notch down. It's just so like the same movie again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the major problem with this. Is like, could have like tried to make it about something besides exactly the same thing as the first movie.
At one point, I was like, wait, when did this go from clearing his name to finding a treasure?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, why? Why did it? What the fuck? It could have just been about clearing his name.
It could have been, or I don't know. They could have found a treasure that was smaller, not like.
Or made sense.
Not El Dorado.
Yeah.
I said in South Dakota for some reason.
Yeah. That's where Native Americans are known to have moved
Native
from.
Central Americans.
Native Central American, Olmec and Mesoamericans. They moved up to South Dakota. That's why nobody ever found it, because nobody would ever think to look in South Dakota. Except for the Wibberleys. They would think of it.
Yeah.
Metacritic score was a 48%, which is actually higher than the original, which was a 39. So it's just all sorts of confusing, man. I don't know. IMDb 6.5 out of 10, whereas the original has a 6.9 out of 10. So just slightly down. I feel like that's going to be our theme. Just slightly worse than the first one. Cinema score is exactly the same. Both movies had an A-.
Dang.
Yeah.
Not great.
These are stupid.
How about a Coppola quick facts?
Couple of quick facts here. I'm gonna kind of keep it brief in the actual quick facts section because we have about 5,000 of them throughout the breakdown. So I'll quickly go through these. Disney discovered that the shooting schedule at Mount Rushmore would displace the local the local Hill City High School prom that is held annually at Mount Rushmore. To make up for this, Disney paid for the prom by providing transportation to a new location in Rapid City, door prizes at the prom, and scholarships for the valedictorians. I just was recently in that area. Rapid City compared to fucking Mount Rushmore. Holy shit, dude.
So not an upgrade?
No. Not even close.
Yeah, but those kids got to be from that one class that didn't get to go to Mount Rushmore because Book of Secrets was filming there.
Yeah, I guess.
And they
Those
got some
memories last a
sweet-
lifetime.
Yeah, and they got some sweet door prizes. Probably like a fake version of the Declaration of Independence.
And like a little Mount Rushmore, like
At a little
bookend. Maybe Justin Bartha dropped in. He was the prom king.
You can't. You already moved us from Mount Rushmore. You're gonna torture us with
Can't
this
make
guy.
this worse. I'm gonna come in and do some jokes.
Watch me in the
Awkward.
hangover.
Sign some autographs.
Fuck.
Pick up chicks.
Pick up some chicks. Because of her role in The Queen in 2006, Dame Helen Mirren was invited to meet Queen Elizabeth II, but couldn't make the meeting because she was in South Dakota filming this movie. Oh my God, dude. She won an Oscar for The Queen, got invited to meet the Queen, and couldn't because she was in South Dakota.
Can you just imagine the Queen? She can't come because of what? She's filming
National
what?
Treasure 2?
And then she's like, oh, I love that movie.
I love Nicolas Cage.
My corgis love this film.
Yeah, invite them to Buckingham. They can film here.
That's true.
That's how
That's
that
true.
scene
Why
happened.
didn't they film like? I mean, I guess Helen Mirren wasn't in those scenes. But
Yeah, she was in those.
God, that would suck so much.
I hope
You
they
had
got a
the
rain
chance
check on
to-
that.
Yeah, I hope so too.
You slice the queen because you're filming National Treasure 2 and then she never talks to you again. Never. Nope.
What
One
a
time off.
bitch.
May she rest in peace.
Helen Mirren is dead to me. This is the second of 2 movies starring Nicolas Cage where he has access to the JFK files, meaning who really killed John F. Kennedy, with the first being The Rock, which we just talked about not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of funny.
Yeah,
Didn't
I was
care in
confusing
either-
that with the first National Treasure at first. I was like, didn't he already figure that out in the first? Oh, no, that was a different movie.
They all blend together, man. They're all kind of the same movie.
Yeah.
Same movie universe. Alicia Coppola plays an FBI agent who is working under Sadusky this whole movie. And though she has the same last name as the Coppola family, she is not related to Nick Cage or any member of his family, which is really weird. There's another Coppola
Yeah.
in Hollywood. So watch out. Oh, wait, that was 2007. She hasn't done anything since. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Page 47, as we'll get to 4 hours into the movie, is never identified in the remainder of the movie. It is addressed at the end of the movie by the president and Ben to be related to reincarnation or rebirth. That's apparently the fan theory, which there's like a shot where he takes a picture of it, and I think some internet sleuths read what was on that and stuff. I don't know. I'm guessing it's the Holy Grail. That's what I think the third movie is going to be about.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if he meets up with Indy?
He has to go through this.
Well,
scene,
they already added Olmec, City of Gold in South Dakota. So, yeah, might as well put the Holy Grail somewhere in
America.
Utah and say the
it's
Mormons
in
were right.
Denver.
The Mormons were right all along.
It's under the Denver
Oh my God, they could totally do it
airport.
like that too.
It's right underneath the fucking flaming Bronco that's at the Denver airport.
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum
found it.
dum.
It's at the tabernacle.
Yeah,
It's under
the
the
Mormons are like, we told you
tabernacle."
Jesus came to America. God. I mean, golly.
That's the whole movie's about.
Oh, yeah. Good golly, you should just listen to us.
Maybe they'll just
Dum,
call
dum,
the
dum,
next
dum,
movie
dum.
International Treasure, and it's somewhere else.
We'll find out Riley Poole's a Mormon. That's why he's so weird and awkward.
He's like, I never
He
thought I'd have
does
to come back here.
look like he just walked off the stage of Book of Mormon.
Yeah, he does.
It possibly served as the setup for a sequel, or perhaps even two back-to-back sequels, which apparently was talked about at one point, which was announced a year after the movie's release. The sequel was. But by 2013, producer and director John Turteltaub claimed that production was slated for 2015. Sadly, nothing ever came out of this. However, in August 2022, Bruckheimer stated that the script had been finished and was being sent to Cage for approval, which as of, I think, like a couple months ago, he said he still hadn't seen a script.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing nothing came of that. While doing press for Edge of History, which has been officially canceled, FYI. I don't know if you know that. They were going to do a
watch it
second
when you
season, but
can
they
before it
canceled.
gets the Willow treatment and they just completely pull it off. Of
Is Willow not on there anymore?
They're going to yank it off. I think they already took it off. Yeah,
That's
it
sad.
performed that poorly.
Anyways, while Justin Bartha was doing press for Edge of History, he said, "Let's just say there's 47 reasons to be interested in National Treasure 3." And that he and Ben have been working on something together for the past 16 years, trying to figure something out. So it must be really, really complicated because Ben can figure out anything in fucking seconds, as we'll see when we talk about the movie here. And then finally, the film earned 2 Razzie Award nominations, including Worst Actor for Nick Cage, who was also nominated for Ghostwriter and Next. And worst supporting actor for John Voight, who was also nominated for Bratz the movie, September Dawn, and Transformers.
Bratz the movie.
Oh my God, I forgot he was in Transformers.
Yeah.
He was the president, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Wasn't he his grandfather?
I don't remember him even being in the
grandfather?
movie.
No. Wasn't he Shia LaBeouf's grandfather?
Maybe.
Or am I wrong? Like flashbacks? I don't know.
I thought he was the president.
I don't know.
I only ever saw the first Transformers. No, I saw the second one too. I know it's just blurred
I think we saw the second one together, didn't we?
Probably.
You guys make out.
I wish. Would have been better.
No, we watched it. It sucked.
But we just watched it instead.
Both of them lost though to Eddie Murphy for Norbit.
The fact that he was he got nominated for main actor and supporting actor is fitting for that movie.
It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our story begins in Washington, D.C. just 5 days after the end of the Civil War, rather than in a dimly lit attic with an old man and a little boy like we did in the first film. Wait, that sounded creepy. Let me try it again. A young boy was scared by his mustache-sporting grandpa who told him he was old enough to know about his treasure. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, we see the infamous John Wilkes Booth and an associate ask a man named Thomas Gates about the Book of Seacrest. Turns out Ryan Seacrest was a co-conspirator in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. No, I misread that. Book of Secrets, which turns out to be John Wilkes Booth's diary and isn't a book of secrets the movie is named after. Don't worry, we'll get to that 4 hours later in the film. Thomas Gates and his son, who seem to work in the back of a pub, which I'm guessing is like the 1860s version of a guy working on a screenplay at a Starbucks with a laptop, help the men decipher a puzzle containing a bunch of random letters. He deciphers the puzzle in seconds flat, since the trait of being able to figure out shit no one else on Earth has been able to figure out with hardly any effort has been passed down through the Gates family for generations, I guess. Meanwhile, John Wilkes Booth heads off to turn Lincoln's head into Swiss cheese. Why he decided to get Thomas Gates to look at his diary 20 minutes before assassinating the president is anyone's guess, because the movie sure as hell doesn't explain it. That's the only time that John Wilkes Booth existed. Just that
that hour.
That frame of thing. That's the only time anybody knows that he exists.
I mean, I guess I thought it was like convenience, but still, like they sort of explained it a way of like he needed to get it translated because he was going on the run, but it was like just get it translated the day before. What the fuck?
Yeah, like you planned this out. You know when you're assassinating the president. Why are you doing this not just now?
This wasn't premeditated. This is spur of the moment. This is passion killing.
I'm gonna get him.
We see the events of that fateful night play out. You know the story. Booth and Lincoln argue over Lincoln heckling the performers on stage before Booth uses a hammer to pound Lincoln in the ass until he died. Oh, wait, no, that's the Whitest Kid You Know sketch. Go look that one up. It's great. He shoots Lincoln from behind in his box seat.
What?
What?
What you doing, Skinny? What you doing, you fat piece of shit?
He shoots Lincoln from behind in his box seat, jumps off the stage, and says "Sic semper tyrannis," or "Thus always to tyrants," which is short for sic temper evolo. Okay, I feel like I'm going to summon something here. Sic temper evolo mortem tyrannis from Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, which means "Thus always I bring death to tyrants." Since Booth's family were actors, yada yada yada. You know the story. I'm just imagining this happening in modern day, and then like he quotes like a Lord of the Rings quote or something after trying to assassinate the president.
Like you say that he starts twerking.
He starts twerking on stage.
Once a drama kid, always an annoying drama kid.
He's like, "I got you for real, on God, no cap. You was acting out of pocket.
I'm gonna be goated.
I'm gonna be goated. I'm gonna be goated in the sauce."
Quick fact, while examining the lost page of the diary, the historians say that John Wilkes Booth studied Latin because of the writing in the diary and the fact that he said "Sic semper tyrannis" after shooting President Lincoln. Real historians or screenwriters should know that John Wilkes Booth, along with his brother and father, were famous actors, and their best-known performance was of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. In that play, the character of Brutus yells "Sic semper tyrannis" just before the famous slaying in the Senate. John Wilkes Booth always wanted to play Brutus, but his father never let him, instead picking his brother Edwin for the role. It seems that John Wilkes did eventually get to say those famous lines on a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreams do come true, man.
Yeah.
It's
He even did it with a
too.
broken foot or leg or whatever.
Yeah.
Ankle. Yeah.
Ankle, yeah.
Ankle.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Viggo Mortensen.
Just picturing like somebody killing Joe Biden and then jumping on the stage. Oh, my precious.
What's taters?
What's taters, precious? I went to Ford Theater last year, and
We get it. You do cool stuff.
It's a long drop from that booth to the stage booth where Lincoln was shot. So, yeah, I think that would have messed you up pretty bad. Did he break his ankle or his leg? Or
His leg, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's
makes
part
sense.
of why they caught him, because he didn't get that far, and then he holed up in like a barn, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
Like he had to,
Yeah, something like
he
that.
couldn't keep running. While this is going on, Thomas managed to decipher the riddle in Booth's diary, which turns out to be a treasure map. Who would have guessed? He spots a pin on Booth's associate's lapel that stands for the Knights of the Golden Circle. Those Kingsmen guys? That's what I thought first, but no, it's a different thing.
Nah, it's a clan thing.
Yeah, and the guy, his southern accent, so you should have figured it out.
Yeah.
And the guy blasts the only guy who could figure out the puzzle that could lead these traitors to untold fortune, but not before Thomas rips some pages out of the diary. That fat cousin fucker manages to rescue a page from the fire and then nearly shoots Thomas's son before taking the diary and his sweaty, filthy ass back to whatever shit kicker plantation town he came from while saying, "The war's only just begun." You know, South will rise again.
Hey, we're still saying that to this day.
Hey,
Still
yeah.
waiting on that, but you know.
Yeah, I looked it up, and the Knights of the Golden Circle thing was only like that one person, and all the rest of them were not in the Knights of the Golden Circle.
Sounds
They
about
were all-
right.
They were like working together, but he was the only actual member.
Thomas tells his son the debt that all men must pay and dies in true Gates fashion, leaving a vague clue for a treasure he just found out about 5 minutes ago, rather than saying, "I love you, son." We cut to the future where we see our hero Benjamin Franklin Gates sporting some dopey looking glasses, giving a lecture about his great great grandpa burning the pages of the Booth diary, which helped stop the Confederacy from discovering a vast treasure of gold. Turns out Thomas Gates is being inducted into some civilian hero hall of fame, but before he can get his golden coffin or whatever, Nick's the Rock nemesis, Ed Harris, aka Mitch Wilkinson, chimes in from the back of the room asking Ben and his dad Patrick what they think happened to the page that was pulled out of the fire. Ben says the world may never know, but of course this guy just so happens to have that missing page and says it was Thomas Gates who called the meeting in the first place since he was in on the assassination plot. Ben says, "How absurd." Like a Karen complaining about the price of a cantaloupe. But Wilson produces a list of names of men involved in Thomas, and with Thomas Gates' name included, which is somehow enough evidence for the entire world to turn on the guy who just discovered the largest treasure on the planet, containing the lost scrolls of Alexandria with infinite knowledge thought to be completely lost to mankind. Also, why does anybody give a shit? I don't know. That's the premise of this movie, is that apparently his family's name is sullied, but
Yeah.
nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Like, the only person that seems to care is like an 8-year-old kid who he gets into a slap fight verbal screaming match with.
Apparently, the Latin that's next to Thomas Gates' name says Puzzle Master anyway. So it's like not it's they say that it means mastermind,
just says
but
mastermind.
if you actually translate it, it's like Puzzle Master.
Yeah, that's sort of a theme in this. Like the descriptions that they show you just don't match what
Yeah.
they're actually telling you they say if you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
Who speaks Latin, dude? Not
John Wilkes
Latinos.
Booth, dude.
I'll tell you what.
Back home, we see Patrick Gates baffled at what a back alley skank his daughter Sway has become. Sorry. You think he talked about Nick Cage with her? He talked about with Nick Cage?
Probably. He's a whore, right?
Why does she have to look like that in that movie?
The election was stolen. Ben.
Oh
Turn into
god.
real life Patrick Gates.
Oh god, that's gonna be the current movie if they ever do the third
Yeah,
one.
that'll be the
He's
next
just
one.
gonna be bitching about how the election
80-year-old
was
John
stolen.
Voight out of retirement to fucking bitch about
Oh,
election
God.
fraud.
Back home.
I
Okay,
tweeted it. That means
Is that
it's
what he's
true,
been up to these
Ben.
days? I haven't paid attention.
Oh yeah,
True.
he's
Yeah,
off
he's-
the rails, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Sorry, no, he searches for proof to clear their family's name while his son watches on helpless. Ben decides to turn to the one person who can help, Riley Poole, who lost every cent he had from the first film's treasure when he invested in Dogecoin and FTX stock. Turns out Riley, who helped discover the greatest treasure known to man, wrote a book about the adventure. But I guess 2007 people were more interested in buying the Deathly Hollows at Borders Books than reading the exploits of someone who could have easily been on the cover of every magazine and talk show in the world.
My impression is that he wrote that book and self-published it with his own money. That's
Yeah,
why nobody
that's exactly
wanted
what
to
I
read it.
said. In
At
the,
like one
Yeah.
Borders, and then
Yeah.
Borders closed down a
One
couple years later
Borders.
anyway. So. Riley desperately tries to get someone to stop and look at his book, at his book signing. And when some girl stops, he says the book is about the Templar treasure, but also conspiracy theories, legends, and other myths that are true. And the girl is confused since she thought Ben Gates discovered the treasure. Womp womp. God, we missed you, Riley, you sweet idiot man-child. Somehow Riley is like the least annoying character in this movie. I found. He was the most entertaining one to watch for me.
Yeah,
wouldn't go that
that's
far.
kind of the first. I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, it was kind of that way in the first one too.
Yeah.
Another girl asks him if he owns a red Ferrari, and Riley says, yes, I do, while making eyes at her. And then she says, it's being towed. We see Riley walking home with a load of unsold books and a cardboard cutout of himself, where he bumps into Ben waiting for him on his steps. Quick fact, the Ferrari which gets impounded in the first few minutes of the movie is a Ferrari F430 Spider. However, at the end of the movie, he is seen in a different car, the Ferrari 360 Spider, which is the same model he drove at the end of National Treasure. Yeah, his other one got impounded and then sold
Yeah,
at a
that's
police
true.
auction.
Yeah,
I guess that
probably.
is true. Yeah, I guess maybe the president upgraded him.
Yeah, bought him a new one. Riley explains that his accountant offshored his money, which caused him to be fined and audited by the IRS, who took everything, including his Bored Ape NFTs. Apparently, Riley owes the IRS $1 million, so he's definitely going to die in prison. Actually, it's $6 million.
Yeah. You know how many
Well, it's,
how much
he
taxes
had
are on
5 million. They took
6 million.
Yeah.
So he owes $1 million. I don't know.
I mean, he said, yeah, the taxes on $5 million are $6 million, so I'm assuming they took his $6 million and then he owes him
They
another
took his.
million?
They took his 5.
Five.
They took his
He
5
owes
and
him
then he
another
owes a
million.
He
million.
Oh,
owes
okay.
him another $1 million. I don't think that's. I don't think that's how that works. Though.
No, but Riley's terrible at money, so he probably...
He
He
probably
probably-
Bored Ape NFTs, dude.
his offshore accountant probably made him a bunch of money, but then he hid it from him because he's an idiot, and then
Well,
banged
yeah.
him with a tax bill.
Why would you invest in FTX, dude? It just seemed like a bad idea,
Yeah.
even before you found out about it.
Riley bought a Tyrannosaurus Rex's skull
And a castle to put it in.
in a castle.
Oh no.
I'll just stick to ferrets next time.
Attack crows. Who can?
Ben lightens the mood by saying Abigail kicked him out, since I'm guessing he couldn't find the treasure she drew on the map at the end of the last film. Says he's living with his dad and his family killed President Lincoln. Again, I just want to stress, they found a treasure worth $10 billion in the first movie.
They're all losers now, except Abigail.
It's that terrible sequel cliche where you got to reset everybody back to nothing in order to have a story and a character arc.
Give them some
for
stakes
Abigail.
again. Except for Abigail's.
But she's just
Fucking
there.
just
She's-
took all of Ben's money after he discovered the treasure.
Women, am I right?
Women be shopping, right?
Ben and Riley break into a mansion that definitely wasn't the same one they lived in at the end of the first film.
Yeah, no
and
shit.
Ben explains that he needs Abigail's ID badge so he can examine the booth diary. Riley disables the alarm in seconds flat since he's a technology genius or whatever we established in the first film. Guy can break into literally anything, but lost $5 million 10 minutes after receiving it. Ben explains He and Abigail broke up because they had a few mild arguments, which was good enough reason to dump Indiana Jones' dorky cousin and start dating that one guy from Modern Family. Yeah, who's also played the same character he was in The Incredible Hulk. So he was, I guess he was a teacher in that, but he was the same thing.
I
like
think he's the same thing in everything, right?
And that douchebag from the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Was he in that
Yeah,
too?
he's different in that. Yeah.
He's like a straight up douche in that movie.
Yeah.
Ben steals the badge, but Abigail comes home with her new squeeze, and Riley says,
He's weird.
like a 6-year-old. Oh, why is he weird? All he did was invite Abigail to an Easter egg hunt at the White House. Actually, never mind. Inviting an adult to an Easter egg hunt is kind of weird. Sorry, Riley.
You want to come to an Easter egg hunt? 35-year-old woman.
Ben pretends to be picking up some of his things, and Abigail knows he's broken in with Riley's help since the alarm didn't go off. Things get awkward as the White House curator guy asks Abigail out for a second date, and Riley says,
Awkward.
it's always funny, that joke. Always. It's great. Only time that joke has ever actually been funny is when Funnybot said it on South Park after murdering a theater full of people. Hashtag inappropriate.
I always love those jokes because they're so like random and exactly right. Like just an AI like trying to figure out a crude, horrible joke.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fuck her with Oprah's tampon.
Abigail immediately get used to that shit with the writer strike going on with no end in sight. A bunch of AI writing.
Yeah, just Chat GPT writing every show.
How to date this podcast. Abigail immediately asks Ben to hand over her ID badge, but he explains he needs it to see the Booth diary and that they need to look for invisible ink on a page since it contains clues to a treasure. Wait, I feel like I've seen this before. Got to blow on it. She reluctantly agrees to let Ben take a look at the page after he tells her she can have his Boston tea tables, which I'm pretty sure is code for his balls or something.
Yeah, she's gonna blow on his balls. Reveal the treasure. He's got like a tattoo that only shows up with invisible ink.
With lime juice. With lime juice and some sensual blowing.
Dip my Boston tea bags in your harbor.
Oh, shit.
Well, they find nothing on the page, and Riley says, in 100 years, no one will ever remember Ben's family helped murder Lincoln, to which Ben explains that the expression, his name is Mudd, came from Dr. Samuel Mudd, who was accused of being a co-conspirator of the assassination, but was later pardoned, but the phrase stuck around forever. Also, Riley says no one's going to care who helped murder Lincoln 100 years from now, but it's already been over 100 years since Lincoln was murdered, and everybody knows that it was John Wilkes Booth who did it.
I think his point was only John Wilkes Booth will be remembered as the person who killed Lincoln, not the other people involved.
Which is kind of true, because who else was involved?
Exactly.
You don't even know. A quick fact, Ben Gates says that the expression, his name is Mudd, has its origin in Dr. Samuel Mudd, who set John Wilkes Booth's leg and enabled his escape after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, and was thereby taken to be a conspirator. Contrary to common misconception, this expression dates to the 1820s, some 40 years prior to the assassination. Actually, I thought it was because of a Primus song.
My name is Mudd. Not to be accused of
Yeah, man, you sound just like Les Claypool.
Hey, Mudd.
2 seconds later, the page they've been looking at for hours suddenly reveals a bunch of letters on the back side, which Ben figures out is a cipher, so that's convenient. They didn't even do anything to it. He's just like, oh, look, did you see that?
Oh, look, it suddenly showed up.
Super obvious ink all over the page.
I hate that shit. We've been here for hours, and all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, the shit starts happening.
Hell, the camera wasn't rolling in those other 2 hours.
Look, this is a PG Disney kids film, so making any of this stuff seem like someone older than like a second grader would have a hard time figuring out just isn't in the card. So it's best to just strap on and enjoy the ride.
Strap on.
Or strap in, whatever. Strap on, make it more interesting.
I think strap on's more appropriate for this.
Yeah, because it's gonna fuck you.
Just picture Abigail and Ben. You know. Never mind. Just fantasy I had. Modern Family Guy watching in the corner. Riley outside the window.
In a crocodile suit.
Awkward.
Ben makes eye contact with him. Awkward.
He's always a fifth wheel. Riley says they need a 5-letter phrase to figure out the cipher, and Ben seems confident he'll figure it out since he figures out everything like it's nothing. Abigail says she won't be able to stop the announcement of the discovery of the new page, and Ben asks her to wait till he can clear Thomas's name. So, wait, she's in charge of whether the information comes out or not? I'm guessing because she works at the National Archives, and that's where the page ended up, and...
Seems to me like what happened here is she was promoted and now she's overseeing whatever the hell that thing was at the beginning of the movie, and that's the only reason he's doing a lecture there. So I guess she's in charge of it. Doesn't make any sense.
Just forget about it. Move on. It's the best way to handle everything in this movie.
Yeah, Abigail's in charge of the fucking press conference.
She's in charge of everything.
Yeah.
She asks, what if he isn't innocent? While Ben makes a dumb face at her. Sorry, I mean a dumbfounded face. Over at the FBI, we see Sandusky in a cell fapping to Tiger Beat. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong guy. Agent Sandusky from the first film, played by Harvey Keitel, finds out the info about the Booth diary page, and Sandusky wants to know about Wilkinson, the guy whose family had the page for 140 years but never said anything about it until just now. Back with Riley and Ben, Riley is doing stupid things as he's prone to do, while Patrick, Ben's dad, is watching a press conference on MSN.com before checking his Hotmail and jumping over to Netscape to see what he should dig on E-Bombs World. 2007 internet. Patrick laments that they were finally able to hold their heads high after discovering the largest treasure in the history of human existence, but now they're a bunch of crazies again. I'd argue one outweighs the other, but what do I know? Ben passionately defends his ancestors, saying he burned the page to keep Booth's men from finding the treasure, and by God, that's what they're going to force us to watch for the next hour and 40 minutes. Patrick tells Ben the story his grandpa Charles, the little kid who was almost shot in the face in the opening scene, told him. Which is super confusing because that makes him really old.
Yeah, they also...
think the timelines really line up.
They screwed up the timeline because in the first movie they said something about like the great-great-great-great-grandfather was the kid from like Thomas Carroll and all that shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this doesn't make any sense timeline-wise.
I just assumed it was Patrick had heard it from his grandfather, who was like the son of the kid from the beginning of the movie, and then it might make sense.
Yeah. I guess 1860. Okay, so that kid was... like 10, I don't know. Let's say, like so he was born in 1850.
Just say 10, just to make it easy.
Yeah. And then let's say 80 years later would be 1930. How old is John Voight is 80 years old, so maybe.
Yeah, he would
work.
Oh wait, no. John Voight was 70 at the time of making this film.
So but that was John Voight's grandpa, right?
Yeah. So
yeah. It could work.
John Voight, when the hell was he born? 1938.
Okay. So maybe Grandpa was like 100 years old. I don't know.
It could work.
Patrick says Charles' dad told him the debt that all men must pay with his dying breath rather than goodbye, son, or I love you, or you were a mistake, like any normal person would say in that moment. Ben figures out the phrase is the key to the cipher since the debt that all men must pay is death, which is 5 letters.
How convenient.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, right? Instantly. I figured it out. It's almost like the script was written for me.
I mean, to be honest, that's a super easy.
I know, but still, it's like just those vague letters on the back of half a page. led to, what did Grandpa say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Riley's magic decoder software writes out the word Leboulet, so Ben calls Abigail, who is out on a romantic date with Wilkinson, since she really wants to piss off her ex. Turns out she's just letting Wilkinson know that they discovered writing on the back of the page, and he gets concerned that Gates was the one who discovered the writing. Too bad they ended up at that bar rather than Wilkinson's family restaurant. Anyone remember that viral video from Liam Lynch that came out in 2007?
Wilkinson's family restaurant.
Fucking deep dive here.
The witch's teats. Go look it up. It's amazing.
When the hunger's born, try the veggie platter at Wilkinson's Family Restaurant. At Wilkinson's Family Restaurant.
Abigail gets a call from Ben who tells her they cracked the cipher, and she out loud repeats La Boulée in front of Wilkinson. Abigail figures out the second word in the cipher is lady, so that leads them to the Statue of Liberty, since La Boulée was the guy who created it, but he referred to the one in Paris as his lady, not the one in New York. Quick fact, Edouard Le Boulay was a French politician who came up with the idea of building the Statue of Liberty, but he was not the designer as suggested in the movie. There doesn't seem any evidence that he was a Mason. He died in 1883, and the replica statue in Paris was unveiled in 1889, so he could hardly have called it his lady. In any case, he was a supporter of the Union cause and wouldn't have helped the Confederates. History doesn't matter in this movie.
So no research done whatsoever on that one.
No. Also, the Statue of Liberty replica that's in the Garden of Luxembourg is in a Garden of Luxembourg, not on the Seine River.
There are two. There's one in Luxembourg and there's the one on the Seine. The one on the Seine is one of the ones that was the original like model that they were like doing the scale up for. I only know that because I was on a tour. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it. I was on a tour and I saw that statue.
Cool.
And it's like a quarter of the size. It's pretty small, but it's like right at the end of like that big long run in front of the Eiffel Tower. So it's like way up ahead of the Eiffel Tower. But
interesting. I've never seen it. I didn't know it was there.
It's very, it's very weird to see it. This
When
is
you
like
saw it,
Statue
were
of
you
Liberty.
like,
It's looking in the direction of New York, so they're facing each other.
Oh, wow.
The idea.
When you saw that, where you're like, hey, you copied us. We got that in America.
Why are you stealing our shit?
Why are you stealing our
Paris.
freedoms?
We'll stick your Eiffel
Bullshit.
Tower in Vegas and call it even. Abigail hangs up on Ben to get back to her steamy date with General Hummel, who says his family is descended from Confederate General Albert Pike, and says a man only has one lifetime, but history can remember you forever, which is his entire character motivation from here on out. That's it. It's just a one-note character, kind of mostly. Well, actually, yeah, still. Riley and Ben head to Paris, where we see a tiny helicopter circling the statue, since the one on the Seine is a quarter the size of the one in New York. Some French bicycle cops show up and are slightly perturbed that some dickhead American is flying an RC helicopter around a priceless statue. But Ben diffuses the situation by stroking the French guy's ego over Montesquieu, influencing the American Constitution. These two random cops
Montesquieu?
give any shit about
Yeah, I know.
Montesquieu. Riley's 2007 helicopter with the resolution of a Sega Game Gear somehow zooms in close enough to read some obviously photoshopped letters on the statue's torch that read, "Across the sea, these twins stand resolute to preserve what they are looking for." So I freeze framed on that and looked at it, and I couldn't quite tell the word that seems to be resolute, but it doesn't look anything like what would be translated as resolute. So they just threw that in there so that the rest of this bullshit makes sense for the rest of the plot. It's just
I don't think there's
about
anything on that torch at all. I don't think there's any writing on
I
it.
doubt there, yeah.
Yeah. So that it does say like these two twin women or whatever sisters stand.
It does?
Yeah. The description kind of says the rest of that, but I couldn't find any word in there that looks like it would translate to resolute or anything. But anyway, the movie has to happen. So
Funny fact that I found out while I was researching this is we gave that statue. Well, we didn't, but Americans living in Paris gave that statue to the city of Paris on the 4th of July to celebrate Bastille Day, which is not on the 4th of July.
I mean, it's in July, so it's close.
It is. It is. But we gave it on the 4th of July, which is fucking
Happy
hilarious
Independence Day. Quoi?
All Independence Day should be 4th of July.
America.
Anyway, Ben quickly figures out that the clue is referencing the Resolute desk, since that's the only other place anyone ever used the word Resolute in prominence anymore. So, again, he figures out a puzzle in 5 seconds by saying a bunch of random shit out loud, just like in the first movie. He concludes that it must be the Resolute desks, since the HMS Resolute was a British ship that was lost in the Arctic in the 1800s, which was salvaged by American whalers, and Congress sent it back to England. I wonder how they missed finding the Charlotte while they were up there.
Oh, it's just right under like an inch of snow.
Dust that off. Oh, look.
The wood from the ship was used to make the Resolute desks, one of which is in the White House and one is at Buckingham Palace. Ben asks Riley how quickly they can get to Paris, and he says, I don't know, why don't you ask your new best friend, in reference to the French cop. Oh, that Riley. The cops called him a cab, which would only cost them a couple €1,000 to go from Paris to London.
I think they were taking him to the train station.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or the
I hope
airport.
so.
Then the French cop writes Riley a ticket for flying his helicopter, and they all just laugh and laugh. I mean, he kind of was just flying or
He was. Yeah, I get
breaking the law, probably.
Yeah. You fly
doesn't
shit
have to
around
pay
the
that
fucking statue. If you flew a RC helicopter up the Eiffel Tower without permission, I mean, you're going to jail, dude.
Quick facts. The wooden plank map hidden within both Resolute desks that leads to the location of Cibola would have been of no use to the Confederacy, as the desks were constructed and delivered between the years 1879 and 1880, some 15 years after the American Civil War concluded and the disbandment of the Confederate States. Similarly, the clues left by Edouard Laboulaye would have been equally of no use, as the earliest models of the Statue of Liberty and all subsequent replicas were all constructed no earlier than 1875, 10 years after the end of the Civil War. This is just nonsense. If you it was driving me nuts, like this movie, the stupid dates and timelines and everything they're trying to loosely connect it. It just makes no goddamn sense.
They kind of did that in the first movie too. It's like there were like 80 some odd inaccuracies. I just stopped adding them at one point in the first movie.
Yeah, it just seemed particularly egregious in this one where
It was, yeah.
it's like the shit that Ben comes up with is so out there and completely like how, and it's always right. He never makes a single mistake. All of it is just right off the cuff, and he gets it properly. It's just
He's lucky a lot.
All right, another quick fact. Several desks were made from the dismantled timbers of the HMS Resolute. One of those desks is in the desk sitting in the Oval Office, which has been used by just about every president since Rutherford B. Hayes, who first received it as a gift from Queen Victoria in 1880. However, there is no twin desk that is a replica of the one in the White House, and none of the desks are in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, they made a lot of furniture from the HMS Resolute, but only one desk like the one that is in the White House. There is no twin of that desk. There are other desks and there are other pieces, but there is no actually like the exact same fucking desk in Buckingham Palace. That's not true.
That's what they want you to think.
That's what you Ben knows, though. He read it in Riley's book.
We cut to Sadusky and his agents, who find out Wilkinson is a trained mercenary who dealt with black market antiquities in Iraq and the Congo, and turns out he only came forward because he needs Ben's help to find a treasure of some kind. So wait, he's a bad guy with a team of goons who are hunting for a treasure that only Ben can lead them to, but Ben is always one step ahead of them until the end of the film when they strong-arm him into leading them straight to the treasure? Where have I seen that before? Over at Patrick's house, we see him naked, covered in Vaseline, watching every Nicolas Cage movie on repeat. Oh, no, wait, that's our Patrick's house, not the movie one. Sit there with a guitar, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheeta comes home, you're just naked, covered in Vaseline, with your guitar out.
Patrick gets hit on the head by one of Wilkinson's goons, and they steal Patrick's red Motorola Razr phone. Remember those? Everyone had that phone back then. They cloned the phone using some fancy nondescript movie hacker software that even has like so stupid, like the graphic, like scanning the phone and copying it on the other side. Like, ooh, cloning the phone.
It even says cloning.
Yeah.
It's like a transporter or something, like
Yeah.
beaming it to another area.
And Patrick wakes up with his pants unbuttoned, wondering what the hell just happened. Sorry, just thinking of our Patrick again. Over in London, Ben and Riley make a plan to break into Buckingham Palace, which turns out to be a piece of cake. Terrorists, if you're watching, just follow this plan. It's foolproof.
Jesus. Don't say that we're going to get flagged.
Yeah, this was like after the London bombings and the 9/11 attacks, and they just like
Just walk right in. Yeah.
waltz in and take
Well,
over
they
the
made an
cameras.
appointment.
It did make an appointment. All right.
I was watching it and I was like, man, this would be like if they just walked into the White House and started doing weird shit. No, well, I guess that happens.
And then they do.
That happens too.
And then they do.
You could just wander right into the Oval
Yeah.
Office with no sweat.
There's no cameras or other security
Yeah,
or anything
no,
anywhere.
nothing,
Same with
yeah.
same with Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
In fact, do they even do tours at Buckingham? Like it felt like it was a really busy,
don't-
bustling place for
I don't know because
I've
when
been
I was
there and it was always
yeah.
behind gates. You couldn't get in. But I guess
Yeah.
they had an appointment. But I guess so did a bunch of other people there for some reason.
It was like tons of tourists in there
yeah,
wandering
They made
around.
it seem like it was a museum or something, but it's not.
It's not at all, and I don't think that you can tour it. But I might be wrong. But I've never seen like a place to buy a tour for it.
Yeah.
So when I was in England, I was only there for a couple days, so it might have been something where something was happening in Buckingham Palace. Maybe they give tours when the Queen's not there, or when Charles is not there, or whatever.
It seems like a really bizarre thing to do because it's still their residence. Like
Yeah.
anybody could just like leave poison or something there. Like you feel like it wouldn't be open to the public.
Yeah, you would think.
It's like they don't allow big tours of the White House for the same reason. You can't
Yeah.
secure it. Anyway, whatever.
Anyway,
Ben gets a call from Patrick while Wilkinson listens in from the Statue of Liberty, the New York one, not the Paris one. Patrick, why is he in New York? Like, is that ever
Because
explained?
he got the La Boule clue.
But he went to the
overhearing-
wrong.
So he went to the
He
wrong
doesn't
statue.
know that
Yeah.
there's
He doesn't know that
multiple-
there's one in Paris, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the one that he referred to as his lady, you see. He didn't figure out the lady part.
Yeah. Patrick tells his son his house was broken into, but it's cool since they didn't take anything. And aside from a cracked skull and a life-altering hematoma, he's fine, so no need to call the cops or be suspicious someone might be listening to their conversation. Also, how does he know they didn't take anything? He's got a bunch of shit in that house. Like, I have no idea that they could have taken something.
Like,
I just got assaulted in my own home, but it's fine. Don't call the cops.
Ben, somebody broke in and smashed my skull, but there's no real reason to worry. They didn't take anything.
So stupid.
All right.
Ben and it's like they're not on the run from the cops yet, so they have no reason to avoid the police
Yeah.
authority. So
Call the fucking
it's just
cops.
weird.
Call your buddy over at
yeah.
the FBI.
Yep, exactly.
Right. I don't know. Like I'm just thinking from his script writing, he could have just had someone like pickpocket his phone and clone it in a diner or
Yeah.
something and put it back in his pocket and not
Yeah.
have this weird question.
He's an old man. He would have never noticed anyways.
Yeah. They could have just given him a whole new phone.
Forgets he even has the phone.
Yeah. He doesn't even know how to read a text picture on it. Like,
He sent a picture. I don't know where it is inside this thing.
He gets scared every time it rings because he forgets he has
oh
it.
my God.
Oh, God.
I need a jitterbug.
I better jump on Twitter and see how I should think about this.
Ben tells his dad they're going to Buckingham Palace the next day, and the digital plans on Riley's computer suddenly take over the screen, and we get a quintessential early 2000s CGI camera transition to Buckingham Palace. Ben and Riley enter the palace, where Ben plans to meet up with a curator while Riley takes a dump. Riley uses a bathroom stall to set up a bunch of fancy 2007 looking gadgets, including an early 2000s cell phone and a first generation iPod for some reason that never comes into play. They just had to make sure to get an Apple logo in there a few more times, I guess. You can do anything with an iPod.
Look, why the What possible purpose could that iPod serve in that situation?
Music.
I thought he was gonna like play
Yeah.
music over like the loudspeaker or something.
He's got to
but-
hear music. He listens to music when he. what
yeah,
did they
okay.
call it in the social network? When they're
social network.
yeah, you remember like when they're doing those stupid coding sessions?
Yeah. I thought you were gonna reference baby, whatever that
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver movie. Yeah.
He's like Baby Driver. He's autistic. He needs to hear music to code properly.
Yeah.
I
Can't
got the
concentrate.
balls on you, baby. You got big balls, baby.
Blinded by the balls on that kid.
Lines that did not age well for Kevin Spacey.
Or the guy who played Baby Driver.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Wait, what happened to him?
allegations
do?
against Ansel Elgort.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. Abuse, I think.
man.
Everybody.
Hollywood.
Ben puts on an earpiece and slathers himself in whiskey, but wouldn't you know it, Abigail just so happens to be visiting Buckingham Palace at exactly the same time. Turns out Patrick told her the next clue was at Buckingham Palace, and I guess she took the red eye from DC to London. Ben tells her now isn't the best time, which she's pretty pissed about since she just flew across the Atlantic Ocean to help him. You guys ready to see Nick go full on Cage? Here we go.
Yeah.
Ben and Abigail argue, and Riley tells Ben they need to make a scene. So Ben yells, well, then fine. If that's what you want, then let's have it out right now. Abigail quickly figures out what's going on since Ben doesn't usually act like a Nicolas Cage character, and they have an all-out shouting match. Nick stomps up and down the stairs doing a Monty Python silly walk while saying,
It's the wrong place! I'm wrong again! Wrong about us! Wrong about Thomas Gates! Wrong that you'd like the Queen Anne chair!
Then he claps like Terrence McDonough and starts grabbing tourists while Abigail yells back at him. An English Bobby shows up and tries to escort them outside, prompting Ben to say, oh, well, now look what you've done. You've brought the little Bobbies down on us, and refuses to leave. He then slides down the banister while saying, wee, and is grabbed by Jason Statham with an alopecia. Doesn't Jason Statham already have alopecia?
He has eyebrows.
He asks Ben if he's been drinking, so Ben says,
Hello. Been drinking, have we?
Just a nip. Just pop down to the pub for a pint. Bit of all right. Going to arrest the man for that?
in a British accent so bad it could be used by Nick in a movie starring Hayden Christensen. Oh, God. Does he do an English accent in that movie?
I think so. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is a taste of.
I don't know.
horrible this
I hope
could
he
be.
does, though. Sure hope he does.
Can't
Abigail
wait to
note-
watch that movie.
Have it on Blu-ray somewhere. I just got to find it. Abigail notices the device in Ben's ear while he says,
Going to detain a blighter for enjoying his whiskey?
then Ben just starts screaming random British and Scottish dish names at the guy and then yells about some coconuts at the top of his lungs. Riley chimes in that the insanity that just took place was brilliant while he pinches off one in the bathroom. Abigail and Ben keep arguing as they are. Again, this was 2 years after the London Tube bombings, and this guy's acting like a complete psychopath in Buckingham Palace, and the cops are just sort of like calmly trying to get him to leave instead of tackling his ass,
Yeah.
putting a gun to him. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he would have been out cold at this point.
Yeah. Abigail and Ben keep arguing as they are processed in the Buckingham Palace holding cell. Who knew that was a thing? I mean, I guess makes sense. Got to have somewhere to take the crazies. All right.
That's where they would put the kids when they were misbehaving.
jail. Take them outside of Buckingham Palace.
Once the Bobbies leave, Abigail asks what the hell's going on, and Ben apologizes for getting her involved, but says that she was excellent at pretend arguing with him. They argue some more about how Ben always assumes he's right, and it drives Abigail crazy. She says when he presumes he's right and turns out to be right, it's because he's lucky, and he says,
I get lucky a lot.
Meanwhile, Riley has hacked the door to the holding cell they're in, and they just waltzed into the Queen's private living area. No sweat. No security, no other cameras. I guess Riley could have hacked the cameras, except he doesn't.
Maybe.
It just shows that, like, you can still
But we
watch them on the
see-
cameras.
They get
We see
staticky
later
at
on
one
that they're
point.
watching a bunch of cameras, but
Yeah.
none of
There's
them
no
are in any
guards.
of the
Like, there's still
places that-
there's no other armed forces that,
Yeah.
guarding any of the rooms, including the Queen's private chambers.
Yeah.
Ben decides to take a different tactic with his estranged girlfriend and asks her if she'd like to help. And she says, sure. But then he says, too bad. And she says, I am so coming, which I'm sure she'll be screaming later while Ben says, I get lucky a lot. Riley hacks.
So coming.
Just in case we needed some stupid relationship drama in the middle of this totally boring movie.
They have to start back from scratch. They have to rebuild their entire relationship again.
I mean, their whole relationship started with Cage acting like an asshole to her after kidnapping her, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah. Riley hacks the doors as the two of them make their way into a dumbwaiter. Ben grabs some flowers and we reach Mulder and Scully levels of sexual tension as Ben makes eyes at Abigail and asks if she's wearing the perfume he bought her. And then he says, I think it smells kind of pretty.
You got a pretty mouth.
She does. That's her only redeeming quality.
Jesus.
Not her acting.
And we're canceled.
Then he bats his eyes at her like he's Bugs Bunny trying to seduce Elmer Fudd, and the two of them slip right through to the Resolute desk since Ben is holding flowers and saying, oh, the flowers, petals, stamens, in his shitty accent. They figure out how to open the secret compartment in the desk thanks to a stamp on the bottom of it that says Malcolm Gilvery, which leads Riley to Wikipedia, which looked exactly the same in 2007 as it does today. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just beg for money every year. And keep the layout exactly the same.
Yeah. Personally, that's one of my favorite things about Wikipedia is it never changes.
Yeah, same.
No reason to fancy that up.
No.
Simple. Elegant.
Ben finds markings inside the drawers that click into place with numbers like a safe. I don't even know why they need to try different things. Like you could clearly hear them opening as you pull them open. And they only go one direction. It's not like a tumbler. It goes
Nobody ever figured that out for fucking a century.
I mean, I guess
even though
if you don't know it's a combination lock, you have no reason to suspect it is. But, whatever.
Probably nobody's actually using that desk. That seems to be a common theme with rich people and people of authority is they just have nice things everywhere that they never actually use because they're never there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they try Queen Victoria's birth year, but it doesn't work. So they try 1876, which was when the torch on the inscription, or which was on the torch inscription, which it opens it right up. It took 30 seconds to open, no sweat. Inside, Ben finds a piece of wood with ancient Mesoamerican writing on it, which makes perfect sense that the British and the Americans would team up to hide a treasure belonging to native people. On brand. They wouldn't hide it. They'd be trying to get it.
Well, they did. So they did hide the location of it.
Yeah.
That's what Mount Rushmore is supposedly it's like.
Why would they hide it? They would just pilfer it.
Well, true. Yeah.
That's one of my questions. Especially that much gold.
It'd be in Fort Knox right now.
Yeah. One of my other questions is, I guess we'll just get to it. But that much gold would destroy the world economy. So why are they? What are they going to do about it? Anyway, Riley sees.
Keep it hidden.
Yeah, that could be why. Riley sees a guard coming to check on Abigail and Ben. Weird how they just left them in a cage and took off without even having a camera on them or another guard or anything in this apparently fully stocked police station in Buckingham Palace. Or the fact that there weren't any cameras anywhere on the route Ben and Abigail took to the Queen's private living area. But never mind that. Riley sets off the fire alarm and everyone just walks out of the front gate like nothing. Oh, and the guards bust in on a guy taking a dump in search of Riley, which I don't get why the fire alarm goes off and they run to the bathroom, guns drawn.
Well, they know that somebody is hacking stuff because like the security cameras all go wonky and then the alarm goes off and they're like, somebody's doing this. And then they go and search for him and the only stall that's locked is that one where the guy's taking a dump because we needed a joke there.
Act 2, The Conflict.
Outside Buckingham Palace, Wilkinson and his goons are waiting and they follow close behind as Riley gets tangled up with some dogs.
Okay, here we go. Oh. All right, a little bit allergic. Riley, please. Thank you. Okay.
Riley.
See you later. Thank you.
That Riley, God. Wilkinson spots the wooden piece Ben and Abigail found in Riley's hands, thanks to him conveniently just walking backwards, examining it. Ancient, fragile piece of wood, potentially worth a fortune. Yeah, just hand it to the guy who was probably eating Cheetos on the crapper 5 seconds ago. Ben spots Wilkinson and decides to book it. Wilkinson and his men take off after them, prompting a 90-minute car chase. Well, more like 5, but it felt like 90 minutes. I don't know why,
really
but that
did.
felt like it took forever to get through that thing.
It felt so long and unneeded.
I just zoned out.
Yeah, I started checking Twitter, reading John Voight's
I wanted to see what
updates.
John Voight was up to. It starts with Riley saying he'll drive, but he gets in the wrong side of the car since they're in England. He's just nonstop fun, that Riley.
And luckily, Ben's there to remind us they're in England.
We're in England. Awkward.
In case you fell asleep for the last 15 minutes of the movie. Which is understandable if you fell asleep for the last 15 minutes and missed that they're in England.
Yeah. He has to remind Riley later that they're in South Dakota. We're in South Dakota. Wilkinson's men shoot at them, knocking out the windows of their rental car, I'm assuming, right? Like, hopefully Ben paid for the insurance, but no one ever ends up paying for that. Yeah. I bet the devil in Spirit of Vengeance would have gotten that taken care of. Probably would have got it for free.
Get a good deal on it.
He would have got it.
He would have paid a fair price for it. He just would have made sure it was in the contract.
I still can't believe they shot that.
It's my favorite scene in the movie.
This will definitely not be cut from the movie. Let's shoot it. Ben guns the car backwards towards the guys who are shooting at them, and runs over a suitcase belonging to, I shit you not, the same vaguely European guy from The Rock who owned the Hummer that Sean Connery stole.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? It's
the exact same guy.
He's in like a half-second scene of this, a shot of this.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about this on The Rock, but I think there's another movie with Nick Cage that he is also in, another Bruckheimer production. So
yeah, I think he's friends with Bruckheimer, so
yeah, he's an investor probably.
Yeah.
Wilkinson and his men steal his SUV, so this guy just has the worst luck ever. Hey,
who are you?
That's all he gets, really.
That's what he says.
Ben drives the car backwards for a bit, using the backup camera to see where he's going before nearly running over the dogs Riley got tangled up with earlier. One of the dogs licks the camera, and Abigail apologizes to it. And then they just mangle the shit out of that dog with the rear passenger side tire, which was pretty messed up for a Disney movie. They drive through the narrow streets of London, causing as much property damage as humanly possible, while not a single cop takes notice.
Nope.
No. In one of the most congested cities in the world, with the most amount of CCTV cameras and one of the largest cop presence in Europe.
Not a single cop joins this chase.
At all.
At all. Not once.
Again, you're two years after the tube bombings.
Yep. Quick fact, this is kind of fun. In the car chase scene in London, the stunt driver for Nicolas Cage was actually the Stig from Top Gear.
Awesome.
That's kind of awesome, right?
That's awesome.
I mean, I thought Cage did all of his own stunt driving.
Yeah. What was the point of all those lessons he took for Gone in 60 Seconds?
That's what Javi said in Unbearable Weight. Like, always does his own stunt driving.
I guess it's probably too expensive to insure him in this case.
Yeah, probably. He's destroying half of London.
And when you get the Stig, you take the Stig.
Yeah, you take the Stig when you get it. Wait, hold on.
Oh God, I flash back to that night in Denver with you guys.
Yeah, just another fantasy I had. Stig. They drive past Big Ben, sideswipe a double-decker bus, crash into a lorry full of kegs, flip a black cab, stop to eat some fish and chips, enjoy a cup of tea. What other cliche British things did they do?
Hit a phone booth.
They took over an impoverished country, stole some antiquities. Oh, sorry.
That's later.
That's later.
Yeah, that's later.
Anyway, Wilkinson calls Abigail's phone and tells Ben he wants what they found at Buckingham Palace, which is kind of convenient that Ben doesn't have a phone in this scene for some reason. which comes up later when he has a phone suddenly with a camera on it. Ben gets the bright idea to run a red light, triggering a ticket camera while holding the piece of wood so they can hack the camera later and read the markings, since those cameras are known for having really amazing resolution. So Abigail's camera is broken. He doesn't have a phone, and neither does Riley, the fucking hacking genius, who literally we just saw had a phone and a fucking iPod and shit.
Yeah, but he taped them to the bathroom.
Yeah, he taped him to the toilet. That's right. Anyways, he tosses the wood plank into the Thames, causing Wilkinson and his men to stop, and Ben and Riley and Abigail all get away. One of Wilkinson's men braves the filthy, disgusting brown water of the Thames to fish it out, which I'm guessing was an homage to the first movie of Ben swimming in the Hudson. Anyway, all that ends without one siren. Not a single cop in sight. Must have been a lot of stabbings that day. London's got a lot of stabbings.
There were hooligans about. They were all attending to them.
Back in DC, Ben and his squad arrive at Patrick's with like 20 suitcases that are never mentioned again for some reason. I'm guessing just so Riley can bang them around like Johnny Camareri in Moonstruck for a bit.
Had to have been.
I think that was just for that joke.
Yeah,
Why do they have so many fucking suitcases?
100%.
Patrick can't quite figure out the markings, but knows that they're over 500 years old and identifies the marking for Cibola, which is a mythical lost city of gold. Just a reminder that he zoomed in about 900% on a traffic camera photo and was able to see every detail.
I thought he could only make out one symbol.
Yeah. But he knew it was over 500 years old. Lost City of Gold buried in South Dakota, I'm fine with, but you can't see shit in those traffic camera pictures. There's no way, dude. Not even today.
Yeah.
We join Ben for story time, where he reads to everyone in front of the fire about a Spanish ship that crashed in Florida in the 1500s and a slave from the ship that saved a chief. So they ended up taking him to the lost city of gold. So they took him from Florida to South Dakota?
Yeah. Guess.
Seems like a stretch.
Either that or at some point they moved the city from Florida to South Dakota.
They moved
buried
that city, dude.
Under a lake.
Later, this guy tried to find the city, but never could. So maybe they shouldn't have shown it to him in the first place, since he turned out to be a real dick. Then Ben says, when Custer died at Little Bighorn in search of gold, it became clear no one would ever find the city. Which, like, I'm not a history major, but Custer's last stand had nothing to do with gold.
What?
In the slightest.
It's the other spinoff they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Custer's Last Stand.
At least try and paint
Custer's
Custer as if
Revenge.
he wasn't a huge pile of shit in everything.
Yeah.
Patrick ties all this stuff that seems to have nothing to do with Lincoln's assassination together by saying, could you imagine if the Confederates had gotten their hands on the city of gold? Just imagine what it would be like if the Confederacy was in charge. Bunch of evil Southerners holding the rest of us hostage, having to bend to their will rather than have progress, live in fear that our rights might be stripped away one by one. We'd have men in face paint and bison horns walking into the Capitol building with Confederate flags. They'd hoard all the wealth for themselves, and the entire country would come to a grinding halt just because some frog-faced asshole from Kentucky decided he wasn't going to allow people to get the money they need in an economic crisis unless his thoroughbred racehorses were taken care of first. It'd be a nightmare. Ben decides they need to call in reinforcements, and Patrick says absolutely not when he suggests enlisting the services of Ben's mom / Patrick's philologist linguistics professor, way too hot for her age, according to the internet, ex-wife. What is the fascination with Helen Mirren being hot?
Have you
at
seen
70?
how she used to look?
Did you
Yes.
not see how those bad boys were trying to pop out of her shirt?
Yeah.
In this
I was
movie?
like, oh, yeah,
Yes.
in this movie. Yeah, I was like, oh my.
A couple of parts
Had
in
to pause a
the
few
ruins. Yeah.
Yeah. Had to pause the movie.
Just think that somehow young Patrick Gates got with young Helen Mirren somehow.
John Voight was pretty handsome back in the day.
Yeah, I guess. Look at John Voight from the Deliverance days. Pretty mouth.
I'd be attracted to her too after seeing those warlocks.
Ben says it's been 32 years since Patrick saw his ex and he can't stand her. We cut to the University of Maryland and a student running out of Ben's mom's office saying, "Hate her." And Riley decides it's best for everyone if he gives us all a Riley Poole break for a minute and just hangs out in the hallway trying to pick up a statutory rape case.
Is Sandusky's office around here somewhere?
Mom, a.k.a. Emily, is overjoyed to see Ben and Abigail, but stares daggers at Patrick since she probably read his Twitter feed. Then Patrick and Emily have a fun, flirty argument about him losing a toothbrush in Marrakesh or some shit before Ben interrupts them with the way too clear to be a traffic light picture of the wood carving. She's upset. Yeah, they enhanced it. 900%. Enhance. She's upset that this might be for some other silly treasure hunt. Again, they found the greatest fucking treasure imaginable in the history of mankind.
And his mom is a historian, linguist, archaeologist, whatever.
It would have opened up so many things just for her, for her studies.
Yeah.
Let alone the whole world. She reads the glyphs while scowling at Patrick, which reads, "Find the noble bird, let him take you by the hand and give you passage to the sacred temple." She giggles her ass off when she realizes they think it's a treasure map to Cibola, since these hapless idiots couldn't possibly discover a mythical treasure no one thinks exists.
She didn't watch the first movie. It's not her fault.
Yeah, she didn't watch the first movie. I bet Ellen Mirren would never watch this movie. Either one of these movies. Then Patrick and Emily argue some more about how she used to like hunting for treasure with him and how much she loved his treasure trail, which really perked up his noble bird before she gave him passage to her sacred temple.
How can you turn anything dirty? That's your superpower.
Yeah. Emily tells them they only have half of the map and blames Patrick for it, since that no good asshole left his daughter behind when she needed him most, which caused her to do a bunch of sleazy softcore porn films and eventually marry Billy Bob Thornton. She's still sore about that,
I would be too.
I would be too.
It creeps me out so much.
Ben knows the other half of the map is in the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and his dad is confused as to why he didn't tell him that information. So Ben says,
Because obviously you have a tendency to overreact!
That whole preceding scene is where I checked the clock for the first time and saw I still had over half the movie to watch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I kept checking my phone.
I think the first time I checked was 24 minutes in.
It's like when they're arguing about toothbrushes in Marrakesh, I was like, what fucking hour and 15 minutes left of this movie?
Yeah. It's like the new Batman movie where I was like, there's an hour and 45 minutes left?
Yeah, I've tried twice to watch that movie and I can't get through it. I just stop.
Haters.
Just turn it into a TV series at this point. Jesus. They apologize to each other and Ben says they need to head back to DC. We cut to Wilkinson's Family Restaurant. Sorry. I could not get that out of my head the whole time I was watching this with Wilkinson's name popping up every 5 seconds.
We feast on meats, the witch's teats.
We cut to Wilkinson and his men strong-arming the guy who runs the Civilian Hall of Fame thing from the beginning of the film into translating the wooden inscriptions. But of course, he says there's like one person on the entire planet who can read that. He tells them they don't have the whole thing, and then some handicapped guy who cuts his own hair says,
There's more to the map?
might have been the same guy Walter asked.
One of the goons. One of his goons.
Oh. He's like, there's more to the map. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Generic bald guy goon. I don't know. He might have been the same guy that Walter asked, "Officer, my cat is stuck up in the tree. Can you shoot it down for me?"
Ossifer.
Oh, God.
Grand Isle.
Yeah.
So he might have been the same goon that died in the first movie that we all
might have been
supposed to care about.
I mean, who would even know, dude?
Yeah. Bring him back for the sequel.
Bring it back from the dead. Abigail, Ben, Patrick, and Riley formulate a plan to get into the Oval Office, and coincidentally, the Easter egg hunt mentioned by the Modern Family Guy earlier in the film just so happens to be happening the next day. Wait, so you're telling me there's an event open to invited guests in an exclusive government building, and they can only get in thanks to access given to them by someone who works there in order to sneak into an ultra-secure location that's normally impossible to reach? I swear I've seen this somewhere before. Over at the White House, two childless weirdos decide to invite themselves to an Easter egg hunt where Ben argues with a little kid about his great-great-grandpa killing Lincoln while he's dressed like Matlock for some reason.
Dressed like Terrence McDonough from Bad Lieutenant. He's got the same suit on and the same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Probably doing heroin too.
Yeah, probably. Ben and a 9-year-old get into a shouting match about conspiracy theories, and Ben says,
"Okay, run along now, you impossible child. Run along."
So the kid makes a weird finger gesture at him and runs away. I'm guessing that kid had The Shining, you know. Good evening, Mrs. Dorrance.
So Cage gives the finger hand of God back to him and then smacks him to death.
I'd pay good money to see that. Connor, a.k.a. Ty Burrell, isn't stoked Abigail came with Ben. But when Abigail goads Connor into showing them the Oval Office, he's more than happy to show off in front of the dude he's hoping to cuck. I mean, best. Sorry.
Oh, fuck.
They head to the Oval Office as Ben says,
"Connor rocks."
Sarcastically. And inside, Connor educates them that there is a twin of the Resolute desk in Buckingham Palace. Abigail argues with Connor about Ford not using the desk, but he insists that he did. By the way, he did not. Fun fact, the desk was being shown in various exhibits from the Kennedy presidency until Jimmy Carter's presidency. So nobody used it. Nixon didn't use it. Ben interrupts the argument by saying, "Abigail, did you lose an earring?" And then she pulls off one of her earrings and asks Connor to help her find it, while Ben climbs under the desk after saying they wouldn't want an earring that doesn't belong to the First Lady to show up in the Oval Office. People are still a little on edge about that Monica Lewinsky thing. Anyway, Ben finds a sticky cigar on the floor. Oh, wait. Sorry. He starts trying to complete the same drawer number thing from the other desk while Abigail flirts with Connor and shows off the goods. Got an ass so nice you'll risk losing your job as curator of the White House. The tap, you know. By the way, they never went anywhere near the fucking Resolute desk with her earring or anything like that. So, would not. I mean, I guess if it rolled across the entire room. Ben unlocks the same opening that the Olmec piece was stashed in, but it's missing from this desk, but does have a presidential symbol of some sort stamped inside of it. Thanks for adding 45 minutes to the film, movie. We just could have found the piece and we could have moved on. We don't need the Book of Secrets, the presidential book, all that shit. But here we go anyway. Ben takes a picture of the symbol while Abigail makes out with Connor to keep him distracted, and Ben puts the desk back together. Connor and Abigail go at it hot and heavy for a minute, and we cut to Ben cuckadiling it in the corner in his Matlock suit. Would have been awesome. Yeah. Outside, Ben delivers the bad news that the piece is gone, and Patrick says, "The brightest men in our country sat at that desk for over 100 years, so of course one of them found the map." Sure used to feel that way, didn't it?
I don't know. They picked the worst president to be the one to fucking find it. Coolidge. That drunk.
He was probably just playing with the drawers and was like, wait, these things
Yeah, that's true. He was just drunk playing with the drawers.
I'm guessing Patrick didn't think that eventually there'd be a Diet Coke button installed into that desk.
Hey, I support that, except it'd be a Coke Zero.
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
They look at the symbol and can't figure it out, but for once in his bumbling existence, Riley knows something that these geniuses don't. He exclaims, "Did you none of you read my book?" Which, why would they?
Yeah.
It's probably on par with those 20 self-published books about seducing Bigfoot that you can find on Amazon. He's devastated that not even his closest friends give two shit about his book, but he explains that the symbol represents the president's secret book. 56 minutes into the film, finally mentioning the Book of Secrets. He explains that the book is a collection of documents from presidents, by presidents, and for presidents' eyes only. Which, if that was true, Trump would have tweeted every page of that fucking thing. The book
he would have kept it and sold it.
Yeah, that's true. He would have sold it to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
God damn it.
The book supposedly has the info from the missing Watergate tapes, If We Faked the Moon Landing, and the truth about Area 51. If they'd have read Riley's book, it would have told them all the secrets. It's right up there with Spread for Bigfoot, Nights with Sasquatch, and The Coup de Grace, Bigfoot Sommelier Butt Tasting by Chuck Tingle. All real books you can buy on Amazon right now.
No, Book Outlet. All books you can buy on Book Outlet.
No, don't bring Book Outlet.
No. They can only self-publish through Amazon.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to sponsor us.
Chuck Tingle?
Affiliate link for Chuck Tingle books.
Oh my God, I want to do that so bad.
But you could just tweet him or email him.
Head over to Amazon.com. Check out Chuck Tingle.
Imagine making an ad for that.
He's got a lot of supernatural sex books. Riley says the symbol showed up on a document that was released under the Freedom of Information Act, and the only way to figure out what was on the plank is now in the president's secret book. Ben takes the info to Sandusky, who is watching some locker room footage reliving his Penn State glory days. Oh, sorry, wrong guy again. Sorry. Sandusky says he knows about the symbol since he read Riley's book.
The only person.
As well as The Mating Habits of Bigfoot and Why Women Want Him, which is also a real book written by a guy who was elected to the House of Representatives in 2018. Sandusky takes Ben for a stroll since the walls have ears, and the powers that be don't like him talking about Bigfoot erotica. By the way, Sandusky confirms that there is, in fact, a secret president book, which he knows about. Since he's a Freemason, I guess, and that's all it takes. How does he know about the book?
FBI.
FBI, okay. Everybody in the FBI knows about it. Fucking Castor Troy in there reading the president's secret book. Sandusky tells Ben only the current president knows where the book is kept, since each one chooses their own hiding place. Trump would have hid the book in the same spot Walter White hid his copy of Leaves of Grass that Gale gave him in Breaking Bad.
On the shitter?
On the shitter, right behind the toilet, right behind the gold toilet.
That the Secret Service can't use.
Yeah, you can't use that. Back at Ben's dad's, Ben says if he only had a few minutes alone with the president, he could find out where it's hidden. He says that before the Civil War, people said the United States are, and after they started saying the United States is, meaning under Lincoln, we became one nation. Patrick chimes in that Lincoln paid for it with his life, and Ben says so did Thomas Gates. Then Ben says,
How am I gonna get him alone? I'm gonna kidnap him. I'm gonna kidnap the President of the United States.
This film's I'm Gonna Steal the Declaration of Independence. Boy, I bet it'll be real hard to kidnap the president. Actually, it'll be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. The Gates clan. Wait, we probably shouldn't use clan since we're talking about the Confederacy. The Gates gang get together, concocting a plan to pull off this impossible kidnapping by using a tunnel system under Mount Vernon, George Washington's former home. Which is kind of a callback to the first movie a little bit. Riley uses his seemingly unlimited hacking abilities to hack the White House press office, where the staff are busily trying to find a location for the president's upcoming birthday party. They managed to change the first location by convincing the staff that the hotel was used for Klan meetings in the 1800s. See, what did I say? Then we see that Riley is stopping incoming and outgoing calls to pretend to be different locations, yada, yada, yada. They rebook it to Mount Vernon. Not going through all that.
Get them all to book it to the, rebook to the Four Seasons landscaping. Maybe that's how it happened.
We cut to the party at Mount Vernon where Randy Travis shows up and sings a song for a bit while the president watches on. I guess it was him or Hank Williams Jr.
They probably, well, never mind.
Quick fact, Randy Travis shot his cameo in One Day at 1 a.m.
Jeez.
What?
Randy, we need you. Come on over. 1 a.m. I don't get it.
Why would you film it at 1 a.m.?
I have no idea. Maybe that was just the only time Randy Travis was available.
Between tour dates or something?
Right after a concert, probably.
Maybe they were shooting the actual scenes with Nick and the president, and then they just had everything set up for later, and that's when they had Randy Travis. Anyways, meanwhile, Ben scuba dives in the Potomac River off a fishing boat his dad is driving and swims his way past the Secret Service. No sweat. Then a 30-something-year-old Maryland cop calls a 70-year-old man son for some reason. He tells Patrick to leave the area. Son, I'm going to need you to leave. Like, you mean grandpa? Why? I don't know. Never mind. The lesson that I've learned from these two films is that breaking into ultra secure places is easy as hell. I'm surprised that the president isn't killed every fucking hour. Ben slips out of his scuba suit into a tuxedo and sneaks into the party with some of the most heavily guarded people in the world, like it's nothing, since he's holding a champagne bottle and tells the guard he's got no game tonight. Party must have had Doug Chesnick's team in charge.
They just thought he was part of the security detail.
Yeah.
Is that you, Doug? Dougie.
Dougie. Ben, an uninvited guest to the party, makes his way to the President of the United States without incident and almost runs into him while rudely cutting off a conversation the president is having with someone who is way more important than that Templar treasure guy. The president says Ben must have the Secret Service hopping since his family busted a cap in Lincoln's head. Quite the opposite, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Ben shows the president a map he has of a secret tunnel system under Mount Vernon and piques the president's interest since he was an architectural history major at Yale. Quick fact, there is no such degree at Yale. Yale does not offer an architectural history degree. The president wonders if an escape route on the map still exists, and Ben says, well, only one way to find out. Ben and the sitting president of the United States play Goonies together under Mount Vernon, while the president basically tells the Secret Service to fuck off. 10 seconds later, Ben opens a secret door and slams it shut with only he and the president on the other side, and the Secret Service panics. Just lost the first lady. Oh, wait. No,
Yeah, so I think they had to call the local sheriff and tell them they lost the president. The sheriff put him on speaker dial and
puts
laughed
him on
about it.
speakerphone.
Or speakerphone and laughed with the rest of the cops.
You're telling me you lost the president again?
At Mount Vernon.
The president is taken aback by Ben locking him in this murder dungeon and asks what the hell he's doing. Ben tells him he needs to ask him a question and he knows he can't answer it unless they're alone. And then he says, have you had to interact with that representative who wrote Bigfoot erotica? He asks about the wood plank that was in the Resolute desk and tells him the map might help exonerate Thomas Gates. He says the whereabouts are now hidden in the president's book, which the president denies the existence of. Why would it be, like, couldn't it be anywhere else? Like, why would it be in the president's book?
Because that's where they keep all the secrets.
This is the most secretive thing that they put in that book. Doesn't make any sense. I found a wood plank that doesn't seem to lead to fucking anything. I don't know. Put it in the most secret book ever that's this big, that holds all the secrets of the American history throughout time. That's one of the most important things we could put in there. Ben says he'll show the president the way out, even if he doesn't give him the information, since everything he is because of his ancestors, and that Thomas Gates died trying to stop the Confederacy. He again asks about seeing the book, and the president asks, even if something like that exists, why would I give it to you? I have the same question. And Ben says, because it will probably lead them to the discovery of the greatest Native American treasure of all time, a huge piece of culture lost. You can give the history back to its descendants.
That's not what they're going to do with it.
Absolutely not. He recites the president's oath and calls him an honorable man, to which the president says, Gates, people don't believe that stuff anymore. And Gates says, they want to believe it. Which is true. I'd love to think that the president was an honorable man who wanted to do right by the Native American people, but deep down I know he'd rather have a Diet Coke. Ben leads the president out of the tunnel and shows him how to get to the highway. The president then decides, hey, I've known this guy 10 minutes. Why don't I hand over the nation's most closely guarded secrets? He tells Ben the book exists and it's in the Library of Congress in a secret vault. Then he says a bunch of letters and numbers that were out of my head before he even finished saying them. So I'm guessing Ben has got like a photogenic memory or Rain Man or something.
Both.
He tells Ben that everyone will know he kidnapped the president and he can't tell them why. So he'd better get ready to be the most wanted man in America. There's no way he could possibly waltz into the Library of Congress, then to a highly secure part no one is allowed to be in, or to travel to South Dakota from Washington, D.C. without any incident whatsoever. So I don't know how he's going to pull this one off. The president then sets up a sequel that, despite this movie making $450 million, we're still waiting for by asking Ben, page 47, just have a look at that. 16 years later, and we're still waiting to find out what's on page 47. Ben meets up with his dad, and they head to the Library of Congress.
Act 3, The Resolution.
Ben meets Abigail and Riley at the Library of Congress, where they just walk right in without any issues with security. And then to a section of the library, you need constant supervision and have to request each book individually in real life, but, whatever.
And also, it's still open. It seems like it's really late at night.
It's 24 hours,
It's
Yeah, it's
bustling.
open 24
There's still people wandering around and working.
24
hours, dude.
Went to the Library of Congress when I was in D.C., but the line was so long to get through security that I just decided to skip it. So they just waltzed right in.
You should have gone there
whatsoever.
1 in the morning, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
After Randy Travis
I could
concert.
see it. I could see it being open late because, because
it's
the
Easter?
nature of what it is. Like, people are hanging out. It's Easter.
It's
People
Easter
are hanging
weekend,
out
right?
doing research. Law stuff is always happening in the Library of Congress. Deep research. I don't know. I could
Also,
see it
she
being
works
open.
there, right? So I figured they
yeah,
just got
that's
in
true.
after hours. But there was
she
also
works at
people
the
there.
archives.
She works
Oh,
at
the
the
archives.
archives. Yeah, not the
National
library.
Archives. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
She's
Maybe
a
she got
government
passed.
employee, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm guessing
She
if
does
you
have
work
her
at the
ID.
National Archives, you've got easy access to the Library of Congress. So
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely. Yeah.
Ben says XY stands for very, very special books, but an idiot off the street can just wander right up to them and start fondling the books with crusty, filthy hands if they time a door opening just right. I mean, to be fair, they only get into the spot where the Book of Secrets is stashed by using the code the president gave him, but I mean, still seems awfully easy. Again, it's convenient that there are no cameras anywhere in the Library of Congress. The president gets picked up by a truck driver who asks if he has to pay to spray. And only now do the authorities get notified that Ben Gates was the kidnapper.
But still, he's stuck into an ultra secure area of the Library of Congress. No cameras, no
cameras,
nothing.
no security. Ben quickly finds the location of the book, which seems to be missing, but he spots a compartment with a rotary combination lock, which opens a small compartment containing a much smaller book than you'd think, considering it has all of America's most secret information stashed in it. I mean, is Elvis still alive? Did Kennedy have Marilyn Monroe killed? Is Bigfoot real? And how much does he love tongue kissing? All that is contained in this little book.
Why? I don't understand why anybody is writing books about having sex with Bigfoot, dude. Why are there so many of them?
I don't know, but I love it. Oh, and I love that one of the authors is now a representative of the United States of America.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Quick fact. The area of the Library of Congress in which Ben Gates finds the Book of Secrets does not exist as an area of bookshelves. These bookshelves were constructed as a prop library in a previously empty balcony of the library's main reading room and then dismantled after the scenes were shot. That kind of makes sense. It would be kind of weird to have like this super secret area
just
that
looking
can be
over
seen
the
from
main
the
area.
floor. Yeah. From the main floor.
What's up in there? Oh,
What is that? What's that guy doing?
nothing important, I'm sure.
Riley's over the moon about being right for once in his life. And since time is of the essence, Ben skips right past the juicy details in the book to the passage about the City of Gold.
And Riley was also right about the time zone or daylight saving time part in the first movie.
That's true.
So they copied that from the first movie too. That
Right,
one moment of Riley being right.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm telling you, it's the exact same script, just rearranged a little bit.
Yep. Same beats. It says the Queen tried to help the South to divide the states and get cotton. How do you say it? Labula? Labula? Labola?
Labia. Labule.
Labule. Labule hid the treasure in the desk, blah, blah, blah. Finally, he spots a picture of the missing piece, which was destroyed by President Coolidge, and that Gutzon Borglum. And that Gutzon Borglum
Sounds like a
Borglum.
orc captain.
was commissioned to this. Huh?
Sounds like an orc captain from Lord of the Rings. Gutzon Borglum.
Was commissioned to destroy the mountain that would identify the location of the treasure, thus creating Mount Rushmore in the process. Suddenly, they hear sirens, and we see that every cop in Washington, D.C. is outside, but Ben tells Abigail and Riley, they're not coming for you, they're coming for me. And to get to the car, since the cops wouldn't possibly be looking for Ben's best friend and ex-girlfriend, police would never stop known associates when looking for someone who kidnapped the president of the United States. They just let him go. Ben takes a photo of the photo with his 2007 Motorola phone in full potato quality. It's nice to see he has a cell phone suddenly and the camera works, unlike when he was in Paris. Then he stashes the book back where he found it after taking a quick look at page 47. I bet it'd get tough for Ben to get out of this situation since the library is surrounded and hundreds of cops are pouring into every entrance and exit. Actually, it's like super easy. Ben sends the picture of the plank to his dad and tells him to get Emily to translate it. Suddenly, we see Wilkinson intercepting the picture and he heads out to the University of Maryland before Patrick gets there first. Nice of Wilkinson to, drop back into the movie. He's gone for like 2 hours. Yeah. It's like 2 hours of him not being in the fucking
busy
movie.
Man.
Yeah. Ben escapes the FBI by hiding under a see-through grate. with a light shining directly on him, and then doing some Assassin's Creed wall scaling before meeting up with Abigail and Riley, who managed to escape the building by saying they were told to evacuate. Security guard gets suspicious when Abigail doesn't leave 5 seconds after starting her car, so she guns it, and Ben hops into the back through the open hatch. Yeah, I do like that. He's just on this fucking see-through grate.
Yeah, like
Perfectly
anybody
lit.
with peripheral vision would have seen the dude.
And then the shots of him just like parkouring down the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's just only the Library of Congress. There aren't any cameras anywhere.
They managed to evade the Secret Service, FBI, DC Metro, etc. by driving over a barricade before it finishes raising, which locks the cops inside. Wow, that was super easy. Kind of reminds me of when every cop in Gotham got trapped in the sewers at the exact same time in Dark Knight Rises. Wilkinson stops by
like
to
seriously,
threaten.
like there's like a fucking 1,000 cops outside surrounding every exit, and they just drive over one barricade and they're gone. And they never, like, nobody gives chase. No helicopters are following them. Nothing.
No other cops anywhere in DC.
Yeah. There's no helicopter. Yeah,
We got to move on to the next thing.
What is this,
So
January
let's just-
6th? There were no cops, is all I'm saying.
Wilkinson stops by to threaten Ben's mom after having her translate the plank from the picture Ben sent to his dad. She pretends she doesn't know what it says, so Wilkinson tells her he'll kill her ex-husband unless she lies to Patrick about what's on the plank. I kind of feel like that would have been a win-win for her, though. She hates him, so like, all right,
Yeah, just get this guy out of the picture.
I just fucking kill him. I don't care.
This guy's nuts, and he abandoned his daughter. I hate him.
Now he's tweeting about the president and the election. Do the world a favor. She translates that it leads back to the Black Hills of South Dakota and says, find where the moon touches the earth and release the hummingbird, which is obviously not the message on the plank, but rather code for sex. Yeah.
He says, like, the hummingbird thing was like a dead giveaway, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something
from
more
a
to that.
deleted
Like,
scene, probably.
maybe they researched it and there is no word for hummingbird or something in that language. I don't know.
Patrick tries to tell his ex why he did the things he did that led to them breaking up, but she argues that one of them had to grow up and look after Angelina before she grows up to have an abandonment complex so severe she ends up adopting like half a dozen kids. She tells him to just go away. And Wilkinson pops up out of the closet. Wow, this movie was progressive. After Patrick leaves to tell her she did good. You did good. You did real good.
He was cucking in the closet, cuckadiling.
Tell me more about the hummingbird.
Tell me about that hummingbird.
Wilkinson does what every good movie villain does and reveals to Emily that there's one piece of information Ben doesn't have as to the location of the treasure. A letter from Queen Victoria containing the final clue. Then he burns the letter and tells her to get her coat. Over at Mount Rushmore, Wilkinson and his clan, clan feels appropriate this time, along with Emily, try to figure out the clues, and we see, naturally your cursor's blocking words.
Sorry.
Cat's just rewriting everything.
Yes. I was trying to move my keyboard out of the way and my mouse because it's laying on it.
Along with Emily, try to figure out the clues, and we see that Riley, Abigail, and Ben, the most wanted man in America, managed to get halfway across the country without any issues and are waiting for Wilkinson to arrive. Ben tells Wilkinson that the FBI are on their way to arrest him, and he'll roll on Wilkinson if they don't work together. Emily tells Ben about the letter, but turns out he knows all about it thanks to the Book of Secrets, but doesn't know exactly what it says. Ben says Wilkinson can have all the treasure and credit for finding the City of Gold so long as it clears his family's name. And Riley is again perturbed at potentially being shafted out of a fortune he can blow on Enron stock. Ben says he wants Wilkinson to come along and not to bring any guns, which he reluctantly agrees to, while hundreds of flies buzz around his head. They climb up some stairs that in real life are off limits and lead to a vault Borglum built to explain what the hell Mount Rushmore is to future generations who might have lost the information at the time. Then they hike to a lake behind the heads, which definitely isn't actually behind the carvings. I do like the fucking flies. I feel like that must have been hell for everybody because they were everywhere.
I noticed that they were able to like when they do the close-ups, you don't see flies around them, but then they're wide. There's flies fucking everywhere.
There were flies in the close-ups too.
There were in the close-ups, yeah.
So like, it's just a couple of takes. They probably managed to not have flies everywhere. Just imagine how much they're getting swarmed.
Yeah.
By the way, I just found out that Borglum actually had a plan for that little. There's like a little room behind the heads. And he wanted to build a like history of the United States so that people would know what the hell the Mount Rushmore heads were and stuff in case that gets lost to time. But it wasn't finished during his lifetime. They just recently finished it.
Oh, really?
But it's sealed and off limits completely. You can't even get to it. Kind of interesting, like that he felt the need to do that. Maybe it's like, thinking of the Sphinx, like wondering what the hell that's about.
Right. Yeah, probably.
All right, quick fact. The lake depicted to be immediately behind Mount Rushmore is Sylvan Lake, but it's actually located about 20 miles southwest of the monument.
Yeah, there's a road behind the heads. So there's nothing back there.
Ben demands to hear the clue from Queen Victoria's letter, which turns out to be the entrance shall only be revealed under a cloudless rain, which is pretty obvious. Just pour some water on the ground while it's sunny. But Wilkinson is just as stumped as Riley. Should we come back when it's raining? Fucking idiot.
He's particularly stupid in this third act.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the secret also show up while it was raining, like under cloudy skies? Didn't seem like the sun had that much of an effect.
I think the implication is that you have to have sunlight on it to show the difference in color. Because if it's cloudy, then it's not going to shine as. Like the rest of the rocks aren't going to be as bright,
I guess. Like turned into the Hobbit. That's some cryptic to find the door to Durin's, or find Doran, whatever the door into Erebor, to be there on Durin's day. The last light of Durin's day shines upon the door.
Yeah, what you
Wait
said.
a minute, that's today.
Well, Ben figures it out in seconds because. Of course he does. And then they all pour out their water, which seems dumb since they're miles from anything in the middle of summer. They find a marking of a noble bird on a rock in a matter of minutes, since the vague clues on the tablet led them to the exact rock formation they needed to, I guess.
They kind of skip over what else was on the other plank.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they were led to the lake. But it's never said at any point that they have to go to a lake. They just say... was it like fields of grass or whatever, and the Rushmore heads, the rock formation of the heads, but they never reveal the rest of the clues. So
yeah,
I guess, but that's a huge area around that little lake. And you're just pouring water over every fucking thing. Hopefully there was a map of the corner of the lake where that was or something. They find it in 40 seconds.
Yeah, with 3 bottles of water.
Yeah.
Abigail excitedly calls for everyone to check out the marking. Then Riley makes a dumb joke about joining hands and walking over the rocks while making some caw-caw noises since he has the IQ of a Pop-Tart when it comes to anything not involving electronics.
I think we need to join hands and in a noble manner pass over the bird.
One doesn't need to see everyone.
Stand around.
That was one of the of all the fucking weird moments in this movie. That was by far the weirdest. What the fuck was that? It was so out of character too. That pulled me out of the movie at that moment. I was like, what the fuck? Spoiler alert!
Because they had to make it seem like there was any kind of moment of not knowing what exactly to do in the next.
There's a hole. Put your hand in the hole. I've seen enough movies.
So fucking easy to figure out.
I've been to enough doctor
the heart of the warrior.
When there's a hole, you put things in it.
That's what I've learned from every bathroom stall I've ever been to.
Wilkinson gives them the next clue, which is surrender your hand to the heart of the warrior, which obviously means stick your hand into the opening in the bird's chest. So Ben jams his hand in right away, where he quickly discovers a rattlesnake den. Wait, no. He jokes about being in pain for like a second and then giggles before pulling a lever, which reveals a passageway. They rush into the passage like they're trying to escape a tornado for some reason, only to find an entryway filled with the Mesoamerican carvings.
I feel like there had to be something where like a helicopter was buzzing over or something that was cut.
Yeah.
Because they're like frantically
sense.
like trying to get into the opening.
Yeah, they're getting there quick.
Why? Why are you running to get in there? I don't get it.
Because they're all jazzed up, dude.
Yeah. So excited.
Riley touches a rope and releases a counterweight, which causes a door to block their only exit since he's
Summons
an idiot. And we need an excuse for Ben to show Abigail he loves her since he grabs her and protects her from all the shit falling around them.
While Riley summons a goblin horde in a Balrog from the depths of Moria.
Fool of the Took.
Sean Bean pops up again. They have a cave troll. My God, Ian, how'd you get here?
Fuck. Thought you were in jail.
Riley says, sorry, since he's endangered their lives for like the 37th time in these films. And Emily blames Patrick since she's a two-note character who only exists to translate things and be a bitch to her ex-husband. Wilkinson says there's only one way out of here now. Forward.
which turns into like a recurring weird thing at the end of this. Like, okay, forward. And then later on, it's like, not forward, down.
And they all start chanting, one way out, one way out.
They head down a tunnel, which is full of more carvings, and Emily's over the moon since the relics are all beautifully preserved. Now, second time now, they have discovered items that will fundamentally change our understandings of history and alter the course of human existence. But I bet Riley still won't be able to hawk his book to the local Goodwill. Riley spots a little golden man on the wall and triggers another booby trap that sends he, Ben, Abigail, and Wilkerson below and trapping Emily and Patrick above because, well, he's got the brain of a sea urchin. The trap the four of them land on turns out to be a huge stone slab on a single point in the middle, so they have to work together to counterbalance the platform to each individually reach a ladder.
I think that's one of the puzzles in Legends of the Hidden Temple. They have the kids do.
Yeah.
Literally make a hidden temple joke in this.
It's because this whole thing turns into a fucking funhouse for some reason.
Yeah. Wilkinson decides he should go first so the others don't leave him to die, and Ben agrees. Ben, Riley, and Abigail work together to get Wilkinson up, and he finds a knife in some skeleton's throat. He takes the knife, and we cut to Emily and Patrick crawling through a tunnel where Emily breaks down and worry about her son, but Patrick comforts her by spouting off about election fraud or something.
Don't worry. He'll win in 2024. It'll be good.
They can't steal the presidency twice.
God answered our prayers when he was elected. Oh, God.
Abigail says one person is going to have to stay behind, and Riley volunteers since he knows he's the weakest link in the chain by a huge margin. Abigail goes next and gets pulled up by Wilkerson after a fun fake out of him abandoning them. It's fucking pointless. That was dumb. Just adding more time to this movie. The structure holding the platform starts falling apart, and Ben decides to sacrifice himself for Riley, who jumps at the opportunity, literally, and makes it to the ladder. Abigail spots a statue and decides to use it as a counterbalance to offset Ben's weight. He jumps to the ladder in the nick of time, and the four of them head to the next level. The next level, escape the curse of the temple. How about that? A board game reference just for you, Nigel. They make their way to a huge opening, and Ben spots a
Trough.
A trough?
Yeah,
Trough?
that's how you spell that.
Really?
Yes.
I just learned today I've never read the word trough. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not even joking. They make their way to a huge opening, and Ben spots a trough full of oil and lights it with a flare. Wait. You arrive in a dark room. He uses a torch to light a trough of oil that still burns despite sitting there for centuries, and the fire reveals a huge room filled with to the brim with treasure, the likes of which the world has never seen. Seriously? Like, where have I seen this done before? Oh, wait. That's right. The last fucking movie. And every other treasure hunting movie.
Except these troughs only go like 20 feet. They just end
Yeah.
and somehow light up the whole cavern.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to be fair, the room is filled with water at this point. So they all work together to spin a wheel, which causes the water to empty from the room, which then reveals the treasure. So it's not exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same. See,
a little bit the same.
we really tried this time.
Yeah. They put a little extra effort in. While all this is going on, Patrick plays geriatric Jones, swinging on a rope over a deep canyon with Emily, and they make out a bit. These life or death treasure dungeons really bring out the romance, don't they?
You think that Patrick and Emily are the purple parrots and Ben and Riley are the silver monkeys and I can't remember the other names.
Abigail and Wilkinson.
Abigail and Wilkinson are the what is it, orange iguanas?
Yes. Back with the others, they head down a passageway and arrive at the lost city of gold, just as Patrick and Emily arrive in the very same spot. They all marvel at the CGI city, and Wilkinson apologizes for smearing Thomas Gates' name and admits he only did it to get Ben's help in finding the treasure. He says this was his chance to put the Wilkinson family name in the history books and be remembered. I don't know. I thought that viral video was a good way to get their name in the history books. Patrick can't forget it.
What? A
Wilkinson's family restaurant.
Yeah.
That's right.
You've been singing the damn song this whole time.
We feast on meats, assorted treats.
Now might be a good time to point out that, quick fact, gold was barely or completely unknown to the ancient Olmec culture. Of course, future cultures found it and used it, but it was like a couple hundred years later. So once again, just throwing history out the fucking window. Suddenly, the chamber springs a leak and starts to fill up with water again. Emily spots a Rosetta Stone of some sorts for pre-Columbian language that will rewrite history. If this really is the find of a century, or the find of the last 3 years.
They found the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, now they found this pre-Columbian Rosetta Stone. Riley stashes a gold turd from stolen worth of gold in his backpack, and suddenly they hear all the passages break open and water spills in at an incredible rate, rapidly filling the chamber. Quick fact, while in the city of gold, Riley handles a very large gold brick with one hand and easily places it in the bag. A gold brick as large as that one pictured would weigh in the neighborhood of, 150 pounds and would require 2 or more people to lift.
Hopefully he doesn't need to swim soon.
God damn it.
I mean, it's the exact same trope as stolen. Like,
Yeah.
gold
Yeah.
is heavy.
Yeah. I would, that would be really hard. You can lift 150 pounds by yourself, but it'd be very hard to pick that particular piece
Could
up.
Riley Poole pick up 100?
Riley Poole
Let
can't
alone-
lift 30 pounds of
Not drown in the ensuing
Coffee.
flood they have to
That's
go
another
through.
thing, though.
right
The
after
moment you
this.
get in the water, that thing's going to sink you to the fucking floor. And I wish it had. If that's how this fucking movie had ended, I would give this a 10 out of 10. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, so I don't.
I don't know. Is he still wearing the backpack? I feel like he just left it there.
I think he ditches it. I don't remember him carrying it with him, which is probably smart because he would have died.
Oh man, but they missed some great idea or a great opportunity for some comedy where he like tries to grab the bag and then goes, "Oh, all the money," and then has to save his life instead of bring the gold. Which you see in every fucking movie that has something going on with a treasure hoard.
Oh, fuck.
I think you found the exact dialogue they were going to use.
That's a scene that was left on the editor's floor.
Oh, the money.
But how will we know that Riley just really cares about money?
I could have bought more Dogecoin with that. Patrick
He's
chucks
been
a dollar.
humbled by the IRS, you know. He's not quite as.
He's been humbled by the IRS.
Yeah, imagine how much tax you have to pay on a 150-pound chunk of gold.
Yeah. Where'd you find this, Riley?
Patrick chucks a dollar in the water and figures out the direction of the current, which would have probably been obvious without the dollar, but whatever.
It goes down.
It's going down.
They discover a central drain underneath them and another wheel, which opens a doorway out to a drainage tunnel. Patrick says they need to get to the other side and close the door or they'll all drown, but Wilkinson lets go of the wheel, causing the door to slam shut.
How do they know it's not just draining into an aquifer where they're just going to die a mile underground in an underground lake?
Because they read the script. They realize one person has to stay behind to keep the door open, and Wilkinson starts punching everyone in the face before pulling out the knife he found earlier and putting it to Abigail's throat. Ben volunteers to stay behind, and Wilkinson says he and Ben will open the door together, and he's going to leave with them while Ben stays behind to drown. Quick fact. The script originally called for Mitch Wilkinson to stab Patrick Gates while they escape from the flooding Gold City. This was taken out in post-production because it made the character cross a line. Okay, that producer and director John Turteltaub felt ought not be crossed. This is why there are almost no shots of Patrick Gates remaining in this scene. He was bleeding, and that was hard to hide. His sweater in the next scene had been ripped from the stabbing, and they were able to unrip his shirt with CGI.
I do feel like it would have been pushing a boundary that probably shouldn't have been pushed, but at the same time, it's like he's pretty much a horrible person. I mean, he's going to leave Ben to drown.
Right.
They shot at him.
Yeah.
They tried killing him in Paris. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
No, in London.
Was it London? Yeah. Sorry, London. Yeah, London. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
certain lines you can't cross, man.
I guess. It would have been awesome.
He did try to put
it is
the
a
knife
PG
to,
movie, so
yeah, I guess that's true. Put the knife to Abigail's throat, though. So
yeah,
there's that.
Ben tells Abigail to promise to get his parents to safety, which was like a really awkward. I hate when they do that when they write the same line in twice. You got to get my parents out of here. You got to get my parents out of here. It's fucking awkward. No actor can pull off doing the same line twice.
Well, maybe they're just doing two different reads, and then the editor just leaves them both in.
I mean, one actor could pull it off if he said boo-hoo twice in a row.
Oh, true. I stand corrected. Anyways, Ben tells Abigail to promise to get his parents to safety, and they share a very sexy look. I know I was turned on. Ben and Wilkinson open the door with the wheel, allowing Emily, Patrick, Riley, and Abigail to get out before Wilkinson can get through. Then a big golden statue lands on the wheel, sending Ben flying and the stone door down again onto Ben. But I guess the thousands of pounds this door would be putting on him didn't hurt him at all.
This was a very confusing scene. Like everything is just kind of like, what happened? How did you? And
now it's like just Wilkinson holding it. And Ben doesn't get swept under.
Yeah, it makes sense now why it was so confusing because they were editing around him having been stabbed. But watching it, I was like, this is like really awkward. Like it's cut very awkwardly. Doesn't really make sense based off of what's going on. But now I know why they were hiding him.
Just really wants that microphone, man. Say boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
Say munt.
Say munt.
Boo-hoo. Sometimes you can get her to copy. Hey, munt. Hey, munt.
Nope, she's not having
it. She can't. I mean,
Bridge
even
too
month,
far.
like that's too. Yeah, that's too far.
He tells Wilkinson if he remains trapped in the door, they'll all drown. Wilkinson says if he lets Ben out, Ben will be washed away in the current, so Wilkinson will die no matter what. Which doesn't happen, but whatever.
He just ends up drowning horribly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
I don't
dark.
know why we needed that one shot of him like in the little window of air. Like, oh my god!
They
really
cut
dark.
out the stabbing, but then they leave in this
Yeah, then they
horrible
leave that,
image of
like-
him being crushed and drowned.
Which is funny because like we cut to them all just having a great time.
Yeah,
on the other
they all
side.
slap each other's backs. We did it again. Wilkinson says,
I found the city of gold. I found it. And no one will ever know.
Wilkinson says he'll sacrifice himself, but asks Ben to tell the world he found the treasure. He opens the door and Ben swims under it. The door closes again, and we watch as Wilkinson drowns while the Gates gang celebrates not being dead on the other side.
Didn't Ed Harris almost drown filming The Abyss with James Cameron? Maybe
This
it was
is probably
called back
very
to that.
triggering for you.
Yeah,
Punched James Cameron in the face after that or something.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben calls Sandusky.
Do it. It'll be funny. We'll drown him again in this movie. It'll be great.
Ben calls Sandusky, who's hanging out on the Epstein Island. No, sorry. I was wrong guy again. He calls Sandusky on his cell phone, which miraculously still works despite being underwater for like, I don't know, the last 20 to 72 minutes of this fucking movie.
Hey, they made the tech really hardy in 2007.
That's true. Those old Motorola
Those
phones
flip
are
phones.
indestructible, man.
Yeah, that is true. He tells Sandusky he has the proof to exonerate his great-great-grandpa and says they found the city of gold. Sandusky says it doesn't matter.
of gold. I found the city of gold, and no one will ever know. Sorry, that's how he says it on the phone.
Yeah. Sandusky says it doesn't matter since Ben committed a federal crime, and next we see Ben and his crew being led to a hangar by armed guards. In the hangar, we see that the president took a break from his busy schedule to fly to South Dakota just in case Ben found what he was looking for, I guess.
Why is he there, dude?
I mean, to be fair, the previous president we had spent the majority of his term golfing, so I feel like this is pretty possible.
Maybe there's a good golf course in Rapid City right next to that prom.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Sounds like he was a history buff and he was sort of invested in what Ben was doing. So he went out there on the off chance that Ben figured it out.
I assume that Ben had called Sandusky and told him like what was happening and that he was going to be discovering this place. He felt like he was pretty guaranteed he was going to find the city of gold. And that's why like Sandusky ended up telling the president. The president was like, oh shit, he found it? Okay, let's go.
The president changes his story and says Ben and he were just exploring each other's tunnels. No. I mean a hidden tunnel, and the door accidentally closed and Ben saved his life. The president says Ben has brought honor to his country and to his family and gives Ben a copy of tomorrow's paper, which reads, Thomas Gates proved a Civil War hero, to which Ben thanks him. He tells them they'll all get credit for the find, and Ben makes sure Mitch Wilkinson gets credit too. Not all the credit like he asked with his dying breath, just one of a sixth share of the credit. I think it's fair.
I found the city of gold.
I mean,
1/6.
kind
Who's
of.
going to fucking remember this guy anyway?
I mean, he's all over all those cameras in London trying to shoot this guy and doing a high speed chase. So
There are no cameras in London.
Yeah, there's no cameras.
High speed traffic light.
Yeah. Then the president asked Ben if he had a chance to look at page 47, and Ben gives him a smirk since it turns out all that was on page 47 was a picture of the president goatsing himself while smiling into the camera.
oh my god, there's so much internet lore in this episode.
Yeah, there is.
That'd be so fucking funny. That's funny.
Hey.
That's on page 47.
I left you a little surprise on page 47. Let's see if you. Well,
what
let's
do
just
you
see
think
if
of
you
that?
notice it.
He gives him the same look that he gave Elijah Wood in The Trust. Oh, that? You found it? Ben says he can help the president with what was on page 47 and says the information is life-altering. But that tale will be held up in development hell for the rest of time. We see Emily and Patrick overseeing the preservation of the City of Gold sometime later after it was drained of water, where Emily is bitching at everyone to be careful. We cut to nighttime at the viewing area for Mount Rushmore, where some girl recognizes Riley, and he thinks she has mistaken him for Ben again. But the girl knows exactly who he is and asks him to sign a copy of his book for her. And Riley makes a little pool in his pants. Ben and Abigail enjoy some cafeteria food, and Abigail asks about the Boston tea tables Ben promised her at the beginning of the film 9,000 scenes ago. She says he can keep them since she wants him to move back in with her, and he says, "No, you use the word so too much." Then they have a flirty squabble where she asks him to unlock her puzzle box, and they make out as fireworks go off above Mount Rushmore. We cut to Riley walking home where he spots his Ferrari back outside. He finds an envelope on the window from the president with the keys in it and a note that says tax-free. Riley hops in the car, fires it up, and immediately slams it into a parked car behind him. Oh, that Riley, what a little scamp. The end.
Riley Poole helped Ben and Abigail discover the greatest treasure known to man, and not a soul showed up to his book signing. The good news is he can make a really cool fort out of his leftover books to live in after the IRS repossesses all of his stuff. If only Riley had hosted a website to get the word out with Bluehost, he might not be burning his books in a dumpster for warmth. Bluehost is your one-stop shop for building the website of your dreams. They offer insanely affordable hosting starting at just $2.95 per month, which is so low even a crypto bro like Riley can scrounge that up. And if Riley can't translate his bafflingly high intellect for electronics to web design, they offer powerful tools to help you build your website, including beautiful pre-made themes. Getting started is easy. Just use your phone to open the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description to get a free domain for your first year. Don't be a fool like Riley Poole. Host your new website on Bluehost.com.
We have a Coppola questions before we move on.
A couple of questions. I kind of just stopped writing them at a certain point.
Yeah, me too.
So hopefully you guys can fill in a little bit. But why would John Wilkes Booth get the diary puzzle deciphered 20 minutes before killing the president, other than convenience for the events of this movie?
That's it. That's all that would
He had to leave town, and he figured he'd have time to swing by after shooting the president in the head.
Just swing by real quick to pick up his book. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty lazy writing on their part, because you think he'd want to be able to go right from the theater to getting the hell out of Dodge, and assumably going right
Find
to
Dr.
where
Mudd.
Going right to where the treasure is, instead of having to go back as the most wanted man in city to go get his book and then flee. I don't know.
So,
or
like,
was he
how
having
was
it
he gonna
translated
figure it
for the
out?
Klan guy?
Yeah.
And then he never meant to go back for it.
How would John Wilkes Booth make it across the fucking ocean after killing the president to go get to find the first clue, the La Boule thing on the statue that didn't exist at the time.
It didn't exist for another 20 years.
And then go to the fucking desk in Buckingham Palace and get that piece, and then go to the Oval Office in the White House.
Why did John Wilkes Booth have this cipher in the first place? I can't remember.
They don't say it.
They don't really say, yeah.
It was just, I guess you're supposed to assume that
he got
conspiracy to
information.
kill Abraham Lincoln was a lot bigger than just killing him.
Right. Well, I think they mentioned like Queen Victoria was in
Queen
on it.
Victoria
So
was
maybe
in on
she
it,
had
yeah.
been
Help
guiding
them.
them toward it. Why the hell
Yeah.
would she know about it?
Why does Cage look so different in this movie? He looks weird in this movie, right?
It does.
This is
I
like
kept-
his phase of like looking like I kept thinking this through the movie. Like somebody needed to pull him aside and say, "Bro, we got to cut your hair fucking different. You got to dress different. Like you stand up straight, dude." Like he was just had this like phase of movies where he looked like he was going crazy.
Yeah.
He
because
was
of
like
the hair.
super gaunt too, like very skinny.
Yeah, it looked
which
like the
was-
suits didn't fit him right. Like they seemed too big and baggy, and he had kind of the longer hair. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It really
That
made me
Bad
feel
Lieutenant
like
looked like
Yeah, Bad
looked like
Lieutenant.
which
Ghost
came out
Rider,
after
Spirit
this,
Vengeance.
but I was like,
Stolen.
did this film around the same
Stolen.
time, or was he like it made me wonder, was he just carrying that character over into Bad Lieutenant, or Bad Lieutenant's character from, but I guess this was filmed before Bad Lieutenant.
yeah.
So he just sort of kept up that look to play Terrence McDonough in Bad Lieutenant. But
Terrence Madonna.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looks weird. I was wondering, like, if he had a hairpiece of some sort in this, because he's obviously had plugs now. So I think he was going pretty bald. If you watch like his late '90s stuff, he was going. It was pretty thin. So maybe this was like the beginning of his hair plugs or a hairpiece of some sort, and he just looks weird.
Could explain why he had to grow why he grew his hair out for so long.
That's true. Maybe, yeah. He just grew it longer so that it would cover up the bald patch.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just looks strange in this movie. Different from the character in the first movie for some reason.
Different, yeah.
His hair is way different. Which we saw the same thing happen in Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider 2, where his hair is completely different.
It looks like he has a bird on his head in Ghost Rider 2.
Yeah. So in regards to that diary page, like nobody thought to like turn the page over. All the time. The Wilkinson family was never like, what's on the back page? Like maybe it's been lost, the ink's been lost to time, but like it's just weird. So the fat guy who was a part of the Knights of the Confederacy took that page, held on to it, and then gave it to General Pike. And then General Pike kept it in the family, which ended up being Wilkinson's family. And nobody looked at the back of that ink that was written on the back with the code for all of this time. And it was able to fade over 140 years to the point where nobody knew what was on it anymore. Nobody wrote those letters down somewhere else.
No.
Okay. How did Ben and Riley know Ben would be taken to a holding cell within Buckingham Palace rather than to prison or...
Yeah, they were like, we got to get you in that office with the desk or whatever. But like, how would they know? Yeah, you're right. Getting arrested at Buckingham Palace would get them any closer to getting to the desk in the Queen's private quarters in Buckingham Palace.
I'm guessing because they had the digital blueprints, they saw that they had holding cells, so they surmised that they would take them down there and hold them there, and that there's that service elevator near it, which is right upstairs,
and they can Mission Impossible their way from there.
On that tick, though, then, like, okay, so why isn't it more closely guarded? If they're going to be there, if they did something egregious enough to be put into a holding cell at Buckingham Palace, would they not have cameras on this cell or a guard watching it?
They have cameras everywhere.
Yeah, they would have cameras everywhere. That whole country is littered with cameras. You go to the countryside and there's fucking cameras.
Yeah.
But the movie's lazy, so they have to.
I guess that they wouldn't be treating them like violent criminals because they were just having an altercation, but it still would be under some form of guard and surveillance.
Yes,
in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. Of all places to have cameras, that's the one place you would expect it.
Yes, everywhere.
I
think there's one on the fucking fountain outside. So he just swam into the birthday party for the president of the United States.
I mean, to be fair, diving underneath and coming up, that is a plausible way to get there.
That is a plausible way of getting there, but something that the fucking Secret Service would have thought about. If there's assassination attempts all the time, so
they would have people watching the area. They would have people watching the.
Yeah, they watched Thunderball.
They would have had people watching the shoreline.
There would have been no boats allowed anywhere near that party,
which there weren't because they had the cops out there.
They still managed to get in there.
Yeah,
but it was a follow up from the first movie where apparently Ben is a scuba diving expert.
Yes.
Yeah, because he uses one of the most complex systems he could to dive, a closed circuit scuba setup.
Yeah, he's a former Navy SEAL or something.
Yeah, that one is very implausible that like he would be able to get into the fucking. We have to make the movie happen. That's really the end. The answer to every one of these questions is just There's no way that these things could happen. There's no way you could sneak into the Oval Office. There's no way that you could sneak into the Queen's private living area.
It's like they just have to throw heist stuff in there every once in a while to keep you interested. Because they show the president already knows who Ben Gates is, so he could have just had an invitation to the birthday party and gone that way. And then
after the Civil War thing, like he wouldn't.
But like the president doesn't care, so obviously,
just because your great granddaddy helped assassinate a president doesn't mean you're gonna.
Yeah, that's true. That's a weird thing with all of these movies, that it's like the bloodline. Everybody just does everything that the previous generation did.
Yeah, they're all treasure hunters.
The final question that I felt like jotting down. Wouldn't Wilkinson's partners want in on the action? Like the goons that he had, like after their boss is killed, wouldn't they come after Ben or something?
I'm assuming they got arrested
and left. Oh, okay, maybe.
I'm assuming that they got picked up.
Okay.
They weren't the smartest, so they probably heard all the sirens and they're like, can't be for us.
And maybe Wilkinson was just paying him but didn't tell him what the whole job was or what they were doing. So maybe they didn't realize there was a giant treasure at stake.
There's more to the map. Other questions?
I have a few. Why didn't Wilkinson just like ask Ben Gates to help him find the treasure at the start?
Yeah,
because it feels like Ben Gates would have just helped him, and they
probably
I mean, I guess they established that he wants sole credit to clear his own family's name, but like, smearing the Gates family name is why does he think that's actually going to work and motivate the Gates enough to help him out? Because it really shouldn't. Who cares?
Yeah.
I think, but to that point, I think in the first movie, they really established the fact that the Gates family has been trying to turn their name from a laughing joke in that arena into like, okay, these people actually know what they're talking about. Because they even kind of touch base on that in the first movie. Like everybody thinks the Gates are a joke. These just treasure hunters who never find treasure, and then finding that treasure at the end kind of changes all that. So I think they have established that the family name and its significance in history is important to them.
I suppose I also would have been copying the first one a little bit too much if Wilkinson had been somebody working with.
Yeah,
Ben
true. I guess that's true.
it,
Yeah,
which is exactly what Ian Howe was doing in the first one. And then it's a mercenary who double crosses him.
Yeah, true.
It's a very elaborate thing where everything has to fall into place for this to all come together.
Yeah. I just thought it's a really flaky premise for the adventure hook for this.
Yeah, the treasure part is kind of an afterthought, really.
Right.
And then it just turns into the whole plot of the movie and somehow relates to Thomas Gates. Like, even at the end, I was kind of like, how would it clear his name?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it still has his name in the ledger, and that was
in fact, if anything, it shows that he did know about the treasure because he was part of this plot to try and find it.
Yeah.
Which means he was trying to help the Confederacy, for as far as they know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things he says right on. Like, oh, if we find the city, it'll clear his name. Like, what? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't at all.
It wouldn't. Yeah,
because it proves that he was just deciphering the code for them. But
it's the mastermind.
Like, it might clear your present name again by giving you some more credence by finding another lost treasure, I guess. But it wouldn't do anything for whatever his name was, Jonathan Gates or what was
Thomas
Gates.
Yeah, but they needed Wilkinson to say, "Oh yeah, no, I falsified that document to make it look like he is a co-conspirator."
Yeah,
but he's dead. So,
but the other one is that like Ben Gates cares so much about his own name, but like he's willing to risk kidnapping the president to get it, which could just sully his actual name.
Yeah, I mean, he did steal the Declaration of Independence, so
and nothing happened to him after that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He's friends with the FBI guy, so that means he gets
Sandusky.
Whatever. Yeah,
Sandusky.
Happened to Tiger Beat.
I'm so mad I missed that joke. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe that went over my head. Missed opportunities.
So, my other one is if the president was going to exonerate him anyway, why didn't he just call off the search the night before?
Yes, exactly.
Instead of just allowing this manhunt to continue, he could have just been like, "Oh, it was a misunderstanding. We just, he accidentally hit something and then we got trapped in here and now we're free and now Gates has got to go. Like, what?
Yeah.
They just set it up so that the movie can keep happening, but it's so stupid.
Makes me wonder, like, how long were they actually hunting him? Because he couldn't have flown to South Dakota, so they had to have driven. So that would have taken at least a couple days, even if they traded off.
Yeah. Maybe he took a train. Security on
Train,
Amtrak
yeah.
sucks.
If I've learned
That's
anything
true.
from taking trains a lot lately, there's no security protocol.
No
so
security
that
at all.
is 100% feasible. They don't check your
That's
ID.
true, that's true.
They barely check your fucking ticket.
Yep. You probably just walk on the train at any point and then
Yeah, just leave a phone up in the top and
so yeah, that was my big one.
Get
Like,
off,
okay,
yeah.
the president is obviously sympathetic to him, even in that exact scene where he kidnaps him. They could have just played it all off like, oh, it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't have had my security detail dismissed. Also, the president doesn't get to decide when the Secret Service follows him around. Like, they don't work for him theoretically.
just like
they,
guarding Tess.
Yeah, they call the shots. So,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just have to grab the wheel with your baby hands and steer the car yourself.
yeah. Guess that's true. The vice president could choose not to go with them for one reason or another.
Yeah. Well, because nobody cares
Allegedly.
about the vice president.
What else we got? What was the deal with the hummingbird clue that
I don't know.
Emily gives to Patrick, and somehow that they figure out that exactly means the same thing as giving him wrong information?
Yeah.
Or right
I wondered
information?
about that right away because it was like, so, because he's like, oh, the hummingbird was a good clue. And I'm like, okay, so we know for sure that at least, I think it was like the Incans knew about hummingbirds for sure, because there's those
The Nazca lines,
things that are
with
up on the
hummingbirds.
Nazca lines, of a hummingbird. I'm pretty sure they're in carvings and stuff, but like, I don't know what that was. Maybe it was something that they actually researched, but hummingbird over the moon just spoke.
You find where the moon touches the earth, and then the hummingbird or something, and that told them exactly what they needed to know for some reason.
Yeah, because the real clue was not much different from that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just assumed it has something to do with their history, his history with his mom. And there was probably a scene that got cut out where
Maybe they saw a hummingbird when they went to Mount Rushmore when he was a kid or something, and there was a family trip and some joke about it.
And like I don't understand why these movies are so goddamn long in the first place. Both of these movies, they just added so many things.
Yeah, I know.
But like, we know from the first movie that there were tons of things that were cut out. So maybe it was just something that was cut out.
Yep.
They decided not to make it 3 hours long, but
They realized it
2 hours
didn't
long.
make it any more or less cryptic than the rest of the random bullshit that they throw in. So it didn't
I guess,
matter.
yeah.
I'd say I mentioned it before, but how much do you think that much gold would destabilize the world economy if it was suddenly found?
It would become something that wasn't even like a value at that point.
Yeah, it would
Right.
devalue gold because it's
Right.
not in that mass amount. It's not rare anymore. And would devalue it. And so I don't know how much of the world economy is still based off of gold. Because our currency,
I don't think it is as much
right?
anymore, but back
Yeah.
then it still
Back
was.
then,
I think the
I
gold
can't remember
standard
when the
was still-
U.S. transitioned away from being gold.
But still, even if it's not a private, like the reason Wilkinson wants it because he wants the treasure originally, other than to clear his family name later. But it's like, you can't do anything with that much gold because if you inject that much gold into the market, it devalues all of it. So
Yeah.
it's the reverse Goldfinger approach where he wanted to irradiate all the gold to make the rest of the gold more valuable because it make the other stuff useless.
Yeah.
If you find
Yeah.
a bunch of gold, it's going to make all the gold less expensive.
Yeah,
As we said in Stolen, like the total amount of gold ever found is like the size of like an Olympic size swimming
Olympic
pool.
size swimming pool,
but not like
A city of it.
not a city.
of it.
Even if those were just gold coated bricks, that's still a shitload of gold.
A lot of gold. Yeah.
I guess the good news is cost of electronics would go down because now you have all
true,
this
it's
gold, and so cost of build them would be a lot less.
And then my last one is kind of silly, but do you think when they were excavating the city, they found Wilkinson's corpse so somewhere washed up?
Oh yeah, 100%.
In one of those
100%.
chambers.
Yeah.
Still screaming in that little hole.
The only thing I have that we haven't asked yet is what the fuck was okay. They're like, we have to close the door after we open it, otherwise we're gonna drown.
Mm-hmm.
But then they would have just been flushed out of the fucking thing into where like the opening. The outside.
Yeah, because they're
So
implying that the other side of the door is dead end
Yeah.
at that point, and they're just
So
going to get trapped
why?
there.
So what the fuck was the point of that whole like? It wasn't. That's not how that worked. So why the fuck did you really need to close it? And if it was draining out, it wouldn't fill to the fucking brim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have washed them out.
Yeah, it would have washed them out, and it wasn't filling to the brim when the door was stuck on Nick Cage. So at that point, don't they just be like, "Oh, hey, wait, fuck! I guess we don't need to have the door closed. We can prop it open so we can all get out."
Yeah. Well, I mean, they say that if they propped it open, then all the water would have just kept rushing out, and they would have been rushed, like sent out. But then they would have like seen that there was light out.
Yeah.
Like on the other side of the door.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on the water slide. You get pushed out into the big pool at the end. It would have been exactly the
That's
same.
how it works,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Super
that was
contrived and
stupid.
stupid.
It's like, oh, once the door's closed, oh, hey, look, light. Oh, I guess we could have just all fucking been swept out into wherever the fuck
We
this
had to
takes
kill
us.
Wilkinson.
Yeah,
man.
we just got to kill
Had
the
to
bad
give
guy.
Ed Harris one more drowning scene. It's just to snap his brain.
It's time for the trackers.
Nigel, you want to hit us with the old PG rated curse tracker?
Yeah, this one was easy. There were not any curses from anybody, I don't think. I didn't catch anybody swearing in the whole movie. So this is only the fourth movie that we've reviewed that doesn't have any swears or curses from Nick Cage in it. The other three being Willy's Wonderland, because he doesn't talk. Mandy, because he barely talks. It's just super violent. And then the first National Treasure. He doesn't swear in that one either, because that was the other PG one.
Not a single swear in the first movie at all?
Nope, not from him. I don't think from anybody else, but yeah. So yeah, we're still at 672. This did not move the needle.
Right on. Runtime, this was 124 minutes, which is a full 7 minutes shorter than the first movie, but still felt really long. Why do they make these movies so long?
I don't know. I think it was like you give Jerry Bruckheimer a blank check and have him make whatever the hell he wants to produce at that time.
Yeah.
Pays off. It pays off for him because he
It
tends
does
to
pay
turn,
off, yeah.
turn blockbusters.
Yeah. 124 minutes. That is the fifth longest movie that we've ever done. Face Off is still the longest, surprisingly. 139 minutes.
This feels way longer than Face Off.
Yeah, it does.
Did, yeah. Nudity, of course, none. PG Disney movie. Yeah. State and country tracker. So we did Washington, D.C., then we went over to Paris, then we went to London, then came back to D.C., went to Maryland, then went to Virginia, and then went to South Dakota. Some of those places we had been before, but now we have 24 total states. I think we added Maryland and South Dakota. We had been to Virginia in Dying of the Light. Mm-hmm. We had been to technically France because of French Caribbean or French Virgin Island or something like that in Lord of War. So we technically had been to France, but we'd never been to Paris. This is our first time in England, which is crazy. We've been what is this, like 38 movies? First time we've gone to England. First trip to Maryland, first trip to South Dakota. So that brings us up to 24 total states and 19 total countries. This had a budget of $130 million, which is a ton. But it made 459. So by Hollywood math, definitely made back its money. And then some. Brings our grand total up to $1.206.7 billion budget with a $2.843.4 billion gross. I feel like these numbers just don't mean anything once you hit a certain number.
Yeah. I mean, all it means is that no matter what, he's going to end his career in the positive.
Yeah, I think
he'll be productive.
Yeah, at this point, I think we can pretty much call it that he's going to end up at least double, if not triple. But Book of Secrets actually is now our top grossing film and was his top grossing film. I don't know if I want to spoil what his top grossing film is. I don't know if you guys can guess.
What Nick Cage's top grossing film is?
Yeah, his top grossing film of all time.
Do we need to put an asterisk? Is it like him in a lead role, or is it him in a supporting role? Because if it's supporting role, I'm gonna say Into the Spider-Verse is probably his highest grossing film all time. No, The Croods 2.
The Croods.
Yeah.
It had to be animated. Yeah,
over 500 on that one.
That makes sense.
Which is a somewhat recent film. So
yeah. Those movies were huge.
Yeah,
huge.
And he was a leading role in that. No, he's animated, but anyways.
Yeah.
So top grossing top two on our list at this point, we still have a long ways to go, but our top two are both National Treasure movies.
That's fucking funny.
459.2 for Book of Secrets, 347.5 for the original National Treasure.
Wow.
A lot of money. I mean, that's, almost $1 billion from National Treasure. Why did they not make a third movie?
I don't know. There had to have been other red tape shit going on.
I bet the Marvel stuff.
I mean, the first writer's strike happened right after this movie came out.
True.
So maybe that put a damper on things. And then maybe he is scheduling from other stuff because he was really busy for a couple of those years. And then Ghost Rider happened, Spirit of Vengeance. And then maybe that tanked his goodwill.
His stock, yeah.
It was too risky. Because I think Disney had also just had problems with Lone Ranger came out and bombed, and John Carter and Mars bombed, and there was some other stuff that I'm sure they had around this time that weren't doing so hot. Which was weird though, because you'd think that we'll just go back to the National Treasure because those movies made a ton of money and that's guaranteed. And we made fucking 5 Pirates of the Caribbean sequels. So.
I think it probably did have to do though with Marvel being so successful and being able to then not have to rely on their own franchises that they have.
When did they buy Marvel Studios?
They bought it.
Iron Man came out in 2008, and I think they bought it the year after that.
No,
they really buy it that
because
quickly
Thor
after?
wasn't a Marvel, or not Thor. The Incredible Hulk wasn't Marvel. That was Sony.
It was Universal.
It was Universal, yeah.
Oh yeah,
co-published.
It's still Universal still
it's distribution
owns the Hulk.
rights. They own the distribution rights to it. It was whatever the term is.
They have the same deal with Universal on a Hulk movie. If they did a solo Hulk movie,
the
money goes to Universal.
Yeah.
That's why they haven't done a solo one since the first one.
Yeah, you're right. It was 2009 that they bought him, Nigel.
Okay, makes sense.
Because I think the original, the
Disney,
stinger at the end of
Marvel.
Iron Man was the setup maybe for a sequel. They didn't really have the idea. They sort of had the idea for the Avengers cinematic, or maybe a sequel stuff, but not a whole cinematic universe until Disney bought them, and then they sort of making those plans.
Yeah, I was watching that 10-year or 15-year retrospective with Favreau and Feige, and they were talking about how they put that thing with Sam Jackson in there just because they had been modeling after Sam Jackson in the comics.
Yeah.
And they never intended for him to come back. They were just like, won't it be fun for fans of the comics to see this? So
yeah,
that's funny. Wow. And look, we're
so you're right. That's sort of when the movie landscape changed, at least for Disney. So maybe they stopped trying to focus on things like National Treasure, and
they might have been planning to come back to it, and then Nick Cage's career tanked. So
yeah,
I bet that also. Yeah, I'm sure that didn't help too. Is after Spirit of Vengeance, they were like, maybe not. He's not.
After 2012, he kind of jumped away from blockbuster stuff and wanted to do more small things. So maybe back then he was like, no, I don't want to do another National Treasure.
Could be. Well, because we talked about how Spirit of Vengeance burned him out on doing blockbuster movies. He didn't want to be a part of that anymore. So
he wanted to do more art house stuff again.
I'm sure there was a mix of him, Marvel, and then
2012 is also when the Star Wars purchase happened with Disney. So they shifted their plans a lot.
They shifted their focus and their finding. Yeah, I bet you had a lot to do with that. Marvel and Star Wars probably took up a bunch of their focus.
Yeah.
Anyways, on the ratings, this was the third PG film that we've done. The other National Treasure was also PG, and I forget what the other one was. Deadfall, definitely. No.
Yeah, Deadfall was PG.
No, wasn't it? Wasn't it like Family Man or one of those other?
Oh yeah, I think it was The Family Man.
Was
Yeah.
Family Man PG?
I think so. I think it was.
Sure,
Anyways,
shit
that,
doesn't look like any of the other ones we're looking at here on the list.
Yeah, we've had
Or was Raising? No,
tons
Raising
of
Arizona was PG.
R-rated movies. No, I think it was PG-13. Was
Yeah, it was
Raising
PG.
Arizona.
Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
Maybe it was Family
9
Man.
PG-13, 6 unrated, and 3 PGs. Still haven't done a G, but that's going to change on our, I think on our second to next episode, I believe is going to be a G-rated movie, so we'll finally get one. Anyways, that leads us over to the kill tracker.
Super easy, just like Nigel. Zero kills. And
technically, he indirectly had.
Yeah. You guys won't let me
Wilkinson's
count
death
that
on his
fucking
hand.
pilot from Wicker Man, so we can't kill.
No, it's
No, we
counted.
count
It's
that.
in
Okay,
there.
so then
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
count.
definitely counted.
So then, do we count this one because he
Nah.
left him to die?
No, he tried everything he could to save Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. So 0, yeah, because he didn't. Yeah, he actually tried to save him. Unlike that pilot, he just said "fuck you."
He definitely brought that pilot to the island. So
Yeah, he did. So 0 kills. So we're still at 181. And once again, another movie where Nick survives. So we're at 0. So still 11 deaths. Our kill count's going to go up real, well, not super high, but it's going to get a pretty good jump after we do Renfield. So we'll see that needle move here. I think
Yeah.
we'll break 200.
it's like 400 of them in Spirit of Vengeance, though. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna top Spirit of Vengeance
We'll
for
see.
a single film.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
All right, that leads us over to the most important question. Vince, where does National Treasure Book of Secrets from 2007 rate on your Cageometer?
Oh, I'm gonna shit on a lot of people's childhoods here. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people look at this movie with nostalgic eyes. I'm not one of them. I was 18 years old when this fucking movie came out, so I was a child, but not a kid. God, I don't want to be too harsh. I really want to give it a 4, but I'm gonna be nice and give it a 5. Fucking copy paste the first film, change a few things. Normally that kind of works in Brockheimer movies. In this one, I don't really feel like it did because we beat this fucking point to death. So I'll touch on it briefly, but it went from trying to clear his family name to then finding a fucking treasure that has no fucking reason to clear his family name. And they kill the only person that could actually clear his name by saying, yes, I falsified that document. So I just felt like
Maybe that's, we were asking what happened to the other goons. Maybe they come forward and say, oh, yeah.
they're
there
not
was a plot
fucking
to-
smart enough to say that.
Maybe they would trade that information to be exonerated.
I mean, touche. We're giving them way too much credit here. So, yeah, I just feel like it didn't, for me, copy and pasting and making some changes, it didn't work for me. And the fact that the movie is as long as it is also kind of directed my opinion that this movie isn't as good as I think a lot of people remember it being. They should have tightened it up. They should have really kind of went back and probably did a second draft on the script to give a little more character development. I feel like we talked about like the tropes. They went through those old tropes, like like reset everything, relationship breaks up, blah, 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 blah. I feel like they would have just tightened stuff up and had a little more character development. The movie would have been a lot better. It's a kid's movie, whatever. I guess I can't be too critical of it, even though I am. So 5 for it. Cage. Oh man, I feel bad, but same. I'll give him a 5. It felt like a different character from the first one.
Yeah.
He went really cagey at moments that I don't really feel were necessary. And I told you, I enjoy cagey moments, and typically they bring me to enjoy the movie more. But in this one, because of the way the movie's set up, when he's stomping down those fucking stairs like he's in a Monty Python sketch, I actually started to cringe at how uncomfortable that fucking scene was. And not like an uncomfortable way to like make a scene, like just felt awful and off and out of place. And it kind of like it really pulled me out of the movie, and not in a fun, enjoyable way where his over the top performances normally do. I really wish somebody would have told him like, hey, you need to probably go watch the first movie again and remember who the fuck Ben Gates is and play him like that again, because he didn't really feel the same. It felt kind of empty at times to me. He didn't really feel like he was bringing a lot to the character or trying to develop the character he created in the first film. So both movie and Cage 5 out of 5 for me. Definitely not the worst movie we watched, but god damn how long it was definitely made this a little unbearable. Sorry, people.
All right, Nigel, where does Book of Secrets rate on your Cageometer?
Yeah, I don't have a problem being harsh on this movie. So I don't care if I'm shitting on people's childhoods. I said, I think when we did the first one, I don't understand why people like that first movie either.
Yeah.
Like, and this is a worse version of that movie. I mean, we said it, it's just copy and paste the script from the first one and change things around, but make it worse somehow. And boring. Like that was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
This movie is so boring. Like it's just,
fair.
It's confusing. Like all the plot points are confusing. All of the contrived bullshit that pops up as clues that Ben just figures out miraculously and to move the plot along don't make a lot of sense if you try to think about them and you're trying to play catch up. You know, maybe that's what we're supposed to think. Like, oh, Ben's just so smart that he gets all this stuff and none of it makes sense to us, but we just go along with the ride because he's a genius. But it's just more like taking liberties with history that don't make sense and adding things that never happened. I mean, just the fact that there's a pre-Columbian Olmec civilization that somehow moved up to South Dakota and built a city under the mountain that and Olmec was based out of like central Mexico originally. So, and they talk about the Blackfoot natives, but it has nothing to do with their art or anything like that. Like it's clearly like Mesoamerican art style and all this stuff. It's just like, why did you like you couldn't set it down there because that's not in America. So you have to set it in an American thing. And then they were like, had this half baked idea. And it's just none of the characters, progress. They don't have a character arc. I mean, they kind of do, but they sort of regress from where they were at the end of the first movie back to square one in this one, just so they can do the same arc almost all over again. And they're just grating, and their relationships are annoying. And then they interject like an old couple love story into it to rekindle their romance we don't care about. And it's just so long and tiresome and boring. So I give this a 3 because I gave the first one a 5. It's worse than that.
Review bombed on this.
I was thinking I'd give it a 4 just because it's slightly worse than that, but I think it's much worse than the first one because the first one I was at least a little entertained in parts, but this one just felt like it dragged me through this story that wasn't interesting and didn't have much reason to be 2 hours long, and where scenes just sort of felt like they just happened one after the other and not a natural progression. It's just, we're here and now we got to go here. And it's like, okay, I guess we got to go to Paris now. And I guess now we got to go to London just so this scene can happen. Yep. And Nick Cage can flip out on a banister and make crappy English impression stuff.
It's funny because he was so not cagey in the first movie.
I know.
Yeah. And he's so cagey in this movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to watch this one, especially if you like the first one, because it's just the same thing over and over again. Just watch the first one and be done with it. This is just a more boring copy of the first one. So I can understand why the scores were fairly low. I don't understand why some of them were better than the first movie.
The Metacritic ones.
Yeah, but whatever. For Cage himself, I think I gave him a 5 in the first movie. I'll give him a 5 in this one as well. I think he does play a different version of the character for some reason. But I found myself enjoying him a little more than I did in the first movie. And I think it's because he gets to be cagey in some moments and kind of bring a little bit more life to Ben, who doesn't really have much of a character to begin with anyway, and doesn't really have one now. So it's just
dial tone.
Yeah. And I think he gets to be a little bit more kooky and crazy and have some of those mannerisms brought out in it. But it's not a bad performance, but I don't think there was anything that memorable from it. Just kind of middle of the road for him on that standpoint. I don't think he made the movie any worse, and I don't think he made the movie any better. I just don't think it's a good movie. So He's kind of trapped in it, doing his thing. So
yeah. Wow, these. Yeah. On my Cageometer, I'm going to kind of split the difference between the two of you and give it a 4. Yeah, it's not a good. I mean, it's just so like you said, like boring, convoluted, confusing. The exact same fucking movie again. I don't like. I had seen this movie in 2007. I remembered not a single detail aside from the John Wilkes Booth Civil War. It was like related to Civil War somehow in the book that had something to do with John Wilkes Booth. But then it turned out it wasn't even that same fucking book. I didn't remember anything from this movie. And it's so forgettable that I just like spaced it out of my mind for 16 years. To the point where I was like reading stuff about National Treasure and people kept saying something about page 47. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Don't remember any of that stuff. I felt it. Yeah. Like you said, it was just like so many things, like the rekindling of the romance between Ben and Abigail and between Patrick and Emily was just like, oh God, we get it. Okay. They hate each other. But they really enjoyed adventure hunting together, so I guess that brings them back together after 32 years of absolutely despising each other to the point where they wouldn't even speak to each other.
Yeah.
But, little moment of Patrick swinging on a vine was enough for them to just rekindle that relationship completely. I don't know what else to say about it. The music was just, I don't even remember any of it. Cinematography was okay. It was National Treasure-esque. It was just the same movie again, and a shittier version of the same movie. So I'll give it a 4. I did find it enjoyable while I was breaking it down. And I feel like it's a movie that's better if you have to analyze every fucking moment of it, like I do. But it's not a great movie at all, and pales in comparison to the first movie.
Yeah.
For Cage, I also gave him a 5. Same thing. Like, not the same character. It didn't feel like Ben Gates at all. Say different hair, different look, different mannerisms, different delivery of lines. He's very cagey, whereas the other guy was very straightforward and to the point. Had like maybe 2 cagey moments in the whole movie, and this one he had like 20 in the first 15 minutes. It felt like. So I don't know. He made it more interesting because of the cagey moments, but like it's not even the same character. So like, I don't know. 5, I feel like is fair. I feel like that's all I really got to say about this thing.
Patrick's just, I'm done.
Yeah. We don't need a part 3. We're done. We're good. We're out.
Nah, I want a part 3.
I kind of want a part 3 just so I can make fun of Riley Poole again.
Yeah.
I mean, the part 3 could be good.
Yeah, I think part 3 would be a lot better.
I think there's enough to the premise of these characters and history and all that you can make a good movie out of it. I just don't.
But in both movies, they just made up history that didn't actually exist to make their story happen. So like, I feel like audiences nowadays might demand more than that.
No,
I do love the idea
so.
of older Ben Gates, like having to come out of retirement or something and figure out something. But if it ends up being some fucking quest for the Holy Grail, I'm out, dude. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, you could have him play the Patrick role where he's got a kid who's a teenager or something.
Oh, please, God, no.
That's what they're going to do if they're going to do it.
Shoehorn Shia LaBeouf into the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm in if it's Shia. Shia LaBeouf is his son.
Hey, here's a 40-year-old son you didn't know you had. Oh, wait, that's Lord of War 2.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. No, I think that is that kid, the Nicky.
Yeah, it's Nicky.
The plan is going to be Nicky.
Yeah.
Fucking the guy who plays Pennywise is going to be
How are they going to explain?
Oh, I thought it was going to be a son he didn't know he had.
No,
it's supposed to be Nicky.
I think it's supposed to be Nicky, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
How are they going to explain the fact that his wife left him and then went and married John Wick? That's what I want to see.
His wife died of AIDS a long time ago.
Yeah. That he gave her.
Because he gave it to her.
Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. These are the cagiest moments of the film.
Well, then fine! That's what you want. Then let's have it out right now.
So subtle.
Oh, let me guess. It's the wrong time. It's the wrong place. I'm wrong again. Wrong about us. Wrong about Thomas Gates. Wrong that you'd like the Queen Anne chair. Bye-bye.
No. No, don't let her go.
Abigail. Hey. All right, get in. Get in!
Oh, the flowers.
Good.
Damon's.
Good.
He's taking out. Oh, now look what you've done. You brought the little bobbies down on us. You take the missus outside. I'm staying right here.
Ben!
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Been drinking, have we?
Just a nip. Just pop down to the pub for a pint. Absurd. Eisenschimmel's book is filled with spotty research and false assumptions.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How do you explain why Lincoln's bodyguard left his post that night?
Because President Lincoln was never accompanied by guards when attending the theater. Are you listening? Especially on Good Friday.
How do you explain why all the bridges out of Washington were closed? Except one. The one Booth needed to escape.
Okay, run along now, you impossible child. Run along.
You know where it is? Why didn't you tell me?
Because obviously you have a tendency to overreact! Well, what she means is she doesn't think you can.
Ben. Doesn't think I can why?
She wants to see the Oval Office.
I can do that.
Really?
Yeah. You see?
You can?
Yeah.
That is so cool, Connor. I've always wanted to see the Oval Office.
Connor rocks. Going to detain a blighter for enjoying his whiskey?
It's all right, that's enough, sir.
Beggars and mash.
Sir?
Bubbles and squeak. Smoked eel pie. Sir? Hi, guys!
That's it! Dismount the banister!
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Here they are, standing in a row. Small ones, big ones, some as big as your head!
That was brilliant.
That's it for this episode of One Cage at a Time. As always, be sure to drop us an email at onecagepodcast@gmail.com to let us know if we missed anything, or hit us up with suggestions to improve the show, comments, compliments, or simply to gush about the legend that is Nicolas Cage. Next up, we'll be watching a film we've been waiting for a long time, and a role Nick has been waiting to play for a lifetime. The latest spin on the Dracula story told through the lens of a toxic relationship, Renfield. Nicolas Cage's lifelong love of Dracula pays off as he finally plays the Dark One himself opposite Nick's Weatherman co-star, Nicholas Hoult. That's what he's mostly remembered for, Weatherman. Not Tolkien or any of that other stuff. Yeah. Who plays the titular...
Yeah,
who plays the titular Renfield, who is trying desperately to break free from his centuries of servitude to the Prince of Darkness, which Dracula doesn't take lying down in a coffin or whatever.
Gotcha.
Anyway, make sure to check it out wherever fine films are sold or on your streaming service of choice. Until then, we'll say goodbye the way we do each and every episode with our Nicolas Cage quote of the film.
How am I gonna get him alone? I'm gonna kidnap him. I'm gonna kidnap the President of the United States.
Thanks for listening to One Cage at a Time. Visit us online at onecageatatime.com or follow us on the social media platform of your choice for more Nicolas Cage goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you really like the show, become a member of our Patreon, where you can download unedited and ad-free episodes, as well as listen to our follow-up show, Back Into the Cage, where we re-examine each movie to discuss what we missed the first time around, answer listener questions, and wax poetic about the man, the myth, the legend that is Nicolas Cage.
Ben, look at this, look!
Yeah. That's where they slit the throat, cut the heart out.